two legs in a... Two of the teams aren't here, Nigeria and Algeria, who failed to qualify. So Ghana had to play Nigeria over two legs. Not many people gave them any hope, but somehow they got through. I was at the first leg, which finished 0-0. The second leg finished 1-0. Ghana away from home, won the game. Thomas Partey scored. And since then, they've basically tried to bring new players in because they realised that the quality of the team wasn't really good enough to challenge at the World Cup. But now they've brought in some really good players. I mean, the two standouts, Inaki Williams of Athletic Bilbao and Tariq Lamptey of Brighton, to add some real quality to this team. Plus, you've got Mohamed Salisu as well, the Southampton centre-back, who'd never wanted to play for Ghana, but they've convinced him to play for the Black Stars at this World Cup. So, at the start of the year, I wouldn't have said that Ghana can do well at this World Cup, but now I'm thinking that actually they could make an impression, particularly because just before the World Cup, their final friendly before the tournament, they beat Switzerland 2-0. So suddenly Ghana, despite being the lowest ranked team at this World Cup, they're entering this tournament with a bit of confidence.
And there's a wider point there. I mean, Clinton's listening, Rob is listening, but he's just put some salsa in his mouth, so I don't think he can talk at this precise moment. So,
fine, thanks,
are you all right now?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a wider point there that, you know, you bring in players in just before a World Cup for the first time, then that is, we talked about cohesion with Cameroon, that's going to take time.
Yep, and it affects the dynamic as well. That all of a sudden you're looking at players that didn't take part in your qualification process, and there is something to say, well, we've earned to be here as players, or, you know, and the negotiations would have been for players who are coming into the squad and said, well, will I play? Well, yeah, of course you'll play. Oh, right. So there's 10 places left in the team then. We had it in 2010 that we qualified comfortably, and then dismantled that squad and started trying to negotiate people out of international retirement. And then all of a sudden we were going into a tournament where some of the players, you hadn't seen them there for 5-6 years. And you think, well, hold on a minute, thanks very much. We did all the donkey work and you come in. And so, yeah, cohesion on the pitch and off it.
We can bring George Addo Jr. into the conversation, Ghanaian broadcaster. Afternoon, George.
Good afternoon to you, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Do you worry? I mean, you may have heard just the back end of that conversation. Do you worry about how the Ghanaian team will gel with new players coming in since the qualification for the World Cup?
Yeah, that's a big problem with the squad. Even though we agree that in terms of balance, this is the best squad Ghana has had in our 4 appearances at the World Cup from 2006, 2010, and 2014. The problem with this team is it feels like they need more time to learn about each other because of the way they have been knitted at the moment, because they do not know each other very, very well. Unlike the 2010 team that had the benefit of playing the 2008 AFCON, the 2010 AFCON, there was also a CHAN tournament in 2009. The young boys who were added to the squad as well played in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. They can easily say that in those 4 years, the team had built together because they were playing competitions and could learn about each other. It's not the same with this team because we have new faces, and it's more or less, picking players from one end and another. There's something in Ghana that happens. When we go for a competition and we don't do well, we often disband the team. So if you look at the four-year period to this time, you can understand that at the 2019, we couldn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup, of course. At the 2019 AFCON, we were knocked out in the round of 16. At the 2021 AFCON, it was our worst performance, losing to Comoros in that fashion. So it meant that the teams were changing, technical teams were changing. And so these boys have not got the time they need to be able to come together. We are hoping that they can find something out of it as they're playing together. But the number one concern for every Ghanaian is that the boys do not know each other and are not quite a cohesive unit as the previous teams we have brought to the World Cup.
So therefore, is there a greater understanding of how difficult this may be for them in what is a difficult group?
Yes, there's a clear understanding of that. And so for most of us, the journalists, we have been preaching that we have a fantastic team that can go on to do a lot. The World Cup will bring them together in a certain way, but it's up to us to keep them no matter what happens at this World Cup. So I know that we have been to the quarterfinal before the World Cup in 2010. You cannot make the quarterfinal a target for this group even though when you look at it, they are individual talents, they are brilliant players all around. They need to connect and grow as a team, and they need to learn the pain and the suffering and the enjoyment together. That doesn't happen. So we are very clear in our minds that the minimum requirement for this squad is to get out of the group if they can. If they don't, we have a good platform to build a team that can really become one of the best in the next 4 or 5 years. That's really it, because look at it. We are the lowest ranked team of the World Cup, 61st. We are also the youngest squad. We have the youngest squad. But in that squad, you have the likes of Thomas Partey, who plays for Arsenal, Mohamed Kudus, who plays for Ajax, Mohamed Salisu, who plays for Southampton, Tariq Lamptey, who plays for Brighton, Inaki Williams, who plays for Athletic Club. You can see that the potential is there. We are not quite at the level of enjoying that potential. We are just at the basic level. So everybody understands that we can't be too hard on this team. They are going out there to take the opportunities as they come. If they can make it as far as the quarterfinal, we are okay. But whatever happens on the World Cup, we really have to keep this squad and build on. And look at competitions like the AFCON in 2024, the next World Cup in 2026. Yeah, that's when we believe that this team would have gotten to that level. So we try too hard. I know Ghanaians are so passionate. They want to see their team win the World Cup if it's possible. But we have tried as much as possible to keep preaching that it's only the beginning of what can be a wonderful story. So there shouldn't be too much pressure on the boys. But after beating Switzerland by 2-0, I can understand why, if you check out social media and you listen to the commentary from Ghana, everybody is looking out for something great at this World Cup. But we have to understand that the team is not quite there yet. They will get there if we give them time to.
Yeah, I think the moral at the end there is never check out social media. That would be my advice, George. Are you all right to stay with us? And I'm just going to pause the news, and then we'll rejoin the conversation. Is that all right, George?
It's all right. It's all right. I'm here for you.
Great. Thank you very much. George Addo Jr., Ghanaian broadcaster, is with us on 5 Live 12:33. Here's Nick Hatfield.
Take the World Cup with you, Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Figures show 500,000 more people came to the UK than left in the year to June, the highest on record. The Office for National Statistics says the increase is probably down to a number of factors, including more students arriving since COVID travel restrictions were lifted and refugees coming from Afghanistan and Ukraine. The price cap on average energy bills is going up from January, but it won't affect your payments straight away. The regulator Ofgem has announced it's raising the maximum to £4,279 from January, but the government's energy price guarantee has limited how much households will pay. Scotland's Education Secretary is urging teaching unions to get back around the table to stop more strikes happening. Teachers have walked out across the country for the first time in 40 years in their dispute over pay. And China has seen its highest number of daily COVID cases despite tight restrictions such as closing shops and schools. There were more than 31,000 infections yesterday, which is still very small for the size of the country.
On BBC iPlayer, take a trip back to Waterloo Road.
Cheers.
Cheers!
We live the history.
It was just a stupid mistake. It didn't mean anything.
The chemistry.
Well, I'm here for you, no matter what. I love you.
The drama.
Do you think I'm going to stand by and let you throw 13 years of school down the drain?
You can't stop me.
Well, we'll see about that.
Before the new series starts, watch all episodes of Waterloo Road on BBC iPlayer.
BBC 5 Live.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022, with Mark Chapman.
Switzerland beat Cameroon by a goal to 0 in the first game. Uruguay against South Korea coming up in 25 minutes. Then it's Portugal against Ghana, and we're just talking about Ghana with George Addo Jr., the Ghanaian broadcaster. You mentioned a player there just before the news in Mohamed Kudus and the form that he has had whilst playing for Ajax this season. There's also a great quote, George, from him, where he talks about Neymar. He spoke to The Guardian about this, and he said, Neymar's not better than me. He's just a higher profile player. That's all. I like the confidence.
Yeah, he's a confident lad. I mean, Mohamed Kudus is a confident lad, even though he has come onto social media to deny that. He's a confident lad, and he grew up in one of the areas in Ghana where, we call it in quotes the Zongos, where, it's tough to grow up there. You You have to face a lot of challenges. But once you're able to come out like gold, like jewel that he has, you can be sure that there is a lot of confidence. It's the same areas where great players like Suleiman Tari and the likes came from. He has grown right from Colts football when playing outside and graduating into the Right to Dream Academy and then moving to Nordsjælland and from Nordsjælland to Ajax. So he's definitely a confident man. And there's one thing that the Ghanaian team actually believe in, especially for someone like Mohamed Kudus, is that, yeah, there may be great players. For instance, the game we're about to play is against Portugal. They need great players. But the first thing that they need in them is to believe that they're good, is to believe that they can do it. And I can understand where something like this is coming from, because we were in Abuja for that second leg, or World Cup qualifier second leg, after drawing goalless with Nigeria in Kumasi. All the odds were really, really stuck against Ghana, but the team came together and found a way to qualify. That confidence is what is trickling through. But for someone like Mohamed Kudus and most of the players who grew up in Ghana, they have been through a lot, but it's a confidence that they can really do it that separates them from all. So it's not too surprising, even if he had come to admit that, because he's a very confident lad. And you see it when he has the opportunity to play at Ajax or wear any of the national team jerseys. And of course, even with the Ghanaian team, he has played for the under-23, he has played for the 17 national teams before. So he's a through and through proper Nima boy who knows how to talk big and also has got the confidence to prove that on the pitch. Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, is there? We had this. I've had this same question and same conversation ahead of every African country's opening match so far, because it is really, really important. And that is, Ghana, like all the other African countries, is exactly the same here, in that the head coach is a Ghanaian, and actually a former Ghanaian international as well, which feels like a huge step for the African countries at this World Cup. Yes, I agree. At least for the first time, we're looking within to try and put things out. The last African, or the last Ghanaian to send us the World Cup indeed was Kwesi Appiah. Otuado came to the national team at a very, very difficult time, because it was just about the time when this special squad of players were taking off. It was at the time we needed somebody to lead us into the World Cup qualifiers against our major rival in football, Nigeria, knowing how good Nigeria were at the Africa Cup of Nations. They were only knocked out by a technical Tunisian side. So it was such a difficult time to come around. And he had the opportunity to work with, or still has the opportunity to work with, a technical team of 4, including the former Brighton manager, who's also half Ghanaian, Chris Hughton, Didi Dramani, who works with Right to Dream, and George Boateng, who is former Dutch international, of course, but of course Ghanaian, and worked with Aston Villa. So these were the guys that he came around, and they've been able to move the team to this point. It's great to have somebody who has lived in the country and understands what football in Ghana really is, and the expectation of the fans to manage this group of players. Number one, Otuado was part of Ghana's 2006 World Cup. That was our first World Cup. So he is the right man to lead the squad, who have only 2 players out of the 26 haven't tasted the World Cup before, in Jordan Ayew and Dede Ayew, the captain of the side. The rest of the 24 have not tasted the World Cup before. So Otuado is the right man to tell them what it feels like if you have not played the World Cup before, and really motivate them to get to that level. Aside it all, it's also the kind of guy who would have Ghana at heart. It will be very, very interested in our building process, and not just going to a tournament and it ends there. Often when we have gone in for expert trades, they may come in just to do a job and step out. But if it's a Ghanaian or it's a native of the African country, there is that idea of continuity. So you don't only make plans for the competition, but you make plans for the coming years, which we see at the moment with Otuado, and at this point in time, perhaps the right man to be in the dugout for Ghana at this World Cup. Lovely to talk to you, George. Thank you very much for joining us. George Addo Jr., Ghanaian broadcaster. That wealth of experience is hugely important, Rob, isn't it?
You think so, and you're looking at the group they're in, and you're saying how tough it is, and even if this game, you're looking at the game that they've got now, it doesn't go according to plan, you've got to be able to pull out 3 games and successively in a short space of time. And just that experience of knowing you don't have to win your first game. You don't have to be flying straight from the off, particularly for a side that, they're low ranked. So actually, the pressure's off. With the experience that they've got, they'll say, that's okay. We'll deal with that.
Ghana, Portugal at 4 o'clock. Brazil, Serbia at 7 o'clock. Next up, Uruguay against South Korea. Of course, in the last World Cup, South Korea and their captain Son Heung-min provided one of the shocks of the tournament.
No, it's out of position. The ball is stumped long for Son. Son chases it. Can he keep this in place? He's going to score. Son surely. It's all over.
Never get tired of Chris Sutton's commentary there. By the way, he is doing his live Japanese television interview at the moment. Hopefully we'll have some footage of that to go on our social channels at some point. Alistair Bruce Ball in the flat with him has just sent me a message saying Japanese, because Chris said he thought Japan would beat Germany. The Japanese TV station think Chris is some kind of oracle now, and have asked him to predict the whole tournament. It really is an example of how things can get out of hand very quickly when you're doing one of these tournaments. Anyhow, back to South Korea. Son Heung-min and that goal there, and the good news for South Korean fans is that he is fit and he plays. Sung-mo Lee is a South Korean football journalist and joins us now. Afternoon.
Hello, Mark. Nice to talk meeting you.
Lovely to have you with us, and that must be the best news, is that Son Heung-min can play.
Yeah, I mean, I believe he will come back before the first game, and whole country wish for him to come back before the first game, and now he starts, and it's a huge lift for the entire country.
Can you tell me what he means to the South Korean people and why?
I mean, he's the best South Korean player ever in the history, and he's a Golden Boot winner for a Premier League. So it's like Korean people believe with Son we can do anything. There's nothing we can do. So the existence of Son itself gives hope to South Korea and its fans. So that's how important he is for Korean people.
And what do South Korean fans think of their team in general at the moment?
Well, they have a mixed feeling about their team, and there is both excitement and a little bit of worry at the same time. Because, we have Son Heung-min and also Kim Min-jae, who is playing very well in Italia. But at the same time, we have some worries in the flanks, each wing back position, especially about their fitness at the moment. So we kind of feeling that our forward line and our center back is strong, but our side, especially the side backs, especially about the fitness level, is weak at the moment.
Because you mentioned 2 or 3 individuals who are at their peak at the moment, but when Paulo Bento took over South Korea after the last World Cup, one of the big things that he was tasked with doing was adding more depth to the South Korean squad, wasn't it? So that it wasn't just reliant on certain individuals.
Yeah, of course. So one of the biggest tasks for him was to replace the former captain Ki Sung-yong, who played for Swansea and Newcastle. So, but he made it. Now Bento has Hwang In-bom, who is starting today's game. He is very important midfielder for Korea right now. So he added some new talent in the team, right? But still, it's football. The fans never 100% confident or satisfied. They want more and more every time. Yeah.
Do you think that Korea suffer from the lack of competition in the region in qualifications? Because they played so many games in qualification that they barely conceded a goal. They won one group and finished second behind Iran only by a point in the other, and it seems so comfortable. Do you think that when it comes to a big tournament that they come up against big teams or big countries with history and impressive squads, do you feel like it's a mental thing or just an ability thing as well?
I mean, I don't think, I mean, all Korean fans would agree that, I mean, the Asian qualifiers are not very easy to, I mean, you can see now, I mean, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina and Japan beat Germany. Asian football is not easy to qualify anymore. So it's quite difficult to qualify the tournament. But there's one thing I believe, one difficulty they have in reality is that most of best players in Korean team is playing in Europe. But all of those qualifiers are taking place in Asia. So every time, for every game, they have to fly like 10 hours and from Europe to Asia and also going back, spending 10 hours. So those kinds of stuff are tougher than the players who is playing in Europe. I believe that's the one difficulty in reality, I believe.
You're talking to us from Japan at the moment, aren't you, Sungmo? I just wonder how the last 24 hours have been there following Japan's win over Germany.
I mean, you know, I saw that Korea beat Germany in 2018 World Cup in Korea, and now I saw that in Japan yesterday. So I mean, it was really similar, but I mean, there is a town called Shibuya in Japan. It's the heart of Tokyo, and in the night they are holding the national flags and they celebrate each other, and then they suddenly stops celebrating when the cars need to go past. So it was the very exciting and also lovely moment for Japan fans as well. Last night.
Really was. Thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Sungmo.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Sungmo Lee, South Korean football journalist. Good point. You know, we talk, Rob, actually, and we'll bring Clinton in as well alongside Maz commentating on this game. We've talked a lot, haven't we, about the advantage. Japan, 19 players based in Europe. Talking about the Korean team, all their players based in Europe. But then when it actually comes to those qualifiers, they are going to be at a disadvantage compared to some of the other nations.
Absolutely. I played the season with Chris Wood, and I played with Lucas Neal for New Zealand and Australia, and they were hell bent on going to the qualifications. And you said, they go, really? You're playing a small Polynesian island somewhere, and he said, no, we'll sneak a win, and I've got to play. They said, well, but you've got to get there and back, and it's just so tough, physically, mentally, everything, that you're looking at getting big players that can play in the side. That you need them in the Premier League. You need them even more so for the national team.
Yeah. So for those countries in those situations, Clinton, it's just about trying to do a job as best you can to get through those qualifiers, bearing in mind how far some of your players are having to travel.
Yeah, because it's a nightmare to travel. You travel all that way and then you're knackered when you come off the plane. But for these countries to qualify, South Korea, and I watched the Japan game yesterday, and it's outstanding. As he just said, there's not a lot of players that are playing in Europe, but the ones that are playing in Europe are so important to South Korea. So it is hard, all the traveling and that, but I just think it's a great achievement to get here to the World Cup for these countries, and you just got to enjoy it. That's what I'd say. Going to a World Cup is a pinnacle of anyone's career. And when you get there, go and enjoy it, and that's what South Korea will do. It won't make it's easy. I remember them beating Germany in the last group stage and winning 2-0, and I know Germany knocked them out of the group. And so South Korea, it'll be a difficult game for Uruguay.
Well, Sungmo was saying, they've got pace. They've got fast players, particularly further forward, and bearing in mind the age of some of Uruguay's defenders, maybe that is the way that they're going to try and get at them.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, definitely. I think I'm quicker than Godin, and that's saying something at the moment, Chappers. But the one thing with Godin, he's got.
Well, if you were, you could have got here earlier.
Yeah, well, no, that wasn't my fault, chappers. Anyway, that's for another day. Definitely weren't my fault. It usually is, but today weren't my fault. I was really stressed. But anyway, that's for another conversation. But yeah, Godin's a good defender, but they do have pace. They have Son up front who can cause problem. And you're right, their attacking players can cause problem. But I think they'll do what like Japan did yesterday, stay in their numbers and just counter-attack. And that's how they beat Germany. And I think that will be South Korea's best chance. But yeah, I was on time, chappers, I promise you.
Is that how you would say it, Maz, as well? Not Clinton on time. Not what time Clinton got to be alongside you. More where it could be won or lost here.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea are really, really organised, aren't they? The journalists there talking about how long Paolo Bento has been in charge of the side, taking over just after the last World Cup, and obviously they do like to play out from the back. They are very, very organised, and that's kind of the key, isn't it? Because Uruguay, we know how physical their game can be, so I think it's going to be a real mismatch in terms of these two teams lining up in that way, and that's what makes it such an interesting game.
Do you, Rob, bearing in mind when we looked at the Switzerland-Cameroon game, and Cameroon lose that, and they still have Brazil and Serbia to cover, you go, God, did you lose that one, you are in trouble. Is this the same for these two with Portugal? It maybe isn't, because we're talking about Ghana being the lowest ranked side in this.
I thought you were going to ask me if they were dark horses.
No, I wasn't going to ask you if either of these are dark horses.
Definitely are. I think it's important, really important. I was just thinking about that very question then, just thinking this is actually a big game, and it's great that these games have come up first off, all of a sudden, bang, you're into it, and you've got to hit the ground running. So it's a challenge. We talked about Switzerland finding the feet. Not sure they've got time to do that.
The teams are in the tunnel. The flags have been unfurled. They are about to come out very shortly. So this is the first game in this group. Remember, Portugal, Ghana to come at 4 o'clock. And we'll have that for you here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And it's Brazil and Serbia after that. But now let's focus on Uruguay against South Korea and our studio-based commentary team of Clinton Morrison and, first of all, Mas Farouk.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, welcome along to our coverage of this match at the Education City Stadium as the group of this 2022 FIFA World Cup prepares to kick off in the next couple of minutes. The Uruguay and the South Korean players are just lining up on the pitch ahead of kick-off. Uruguay against South Korea, the first of Group H to be played. The flags of both sides still stretched taut out on the pitch as we prepare to pause for the national anthems, beginning with the national anthem of Uruguay. Yuka, the patriotic song South Koreans say when they hear it, it reminds them of the love they and they that came before them have for their country. And Son Heung-min, the South Korea captain there, Clinton Morrison, singing his heart out at the end of the row of South Koreans there as they line up ahead of kickoff here and just shaking the hands of the Uruguay as they make their way down the line as we prepare for kickoff. Such an important player, the talisman for the South Korean team. He said in the build-up to this World Cup after he suffered that facial fracture 23 days ago, remember, just 23 days ago, that even if there was a 1% chance of playing, he wanted to. He had to play, surely.
Yeah, he was always going to play. He is their talisman. I think he would have played even with the injury. He's such an important player, and he's done ever so well to get. As you hear people talking about Son, he's like a god in their country. He's unbelievable. He is their talisman. He is their main man. And if he has a good game, South Korea have a chance of getting something out of the game. But it will be difficult because Uruguay are a top team.
Yeah, we talk about that blend of youth experience a lot in the build-up to this. Diego Godin does start at the back for Uruguay, does captain his 4th World Cup. Caceres' 4th World Cup in defence as well. Luis Suarez' 4th World Cup. They've got so much experience and a really physical team as well, Uruguay.
Yeah, they got experience and they got youth. So the names you've mentioned, obviously, the ones that stand out, Godin and Luis Suarez. Suarez keeps on going, keeps scoring goals. And then you've got Nunez, who will probably play alongside Suarez, who's starting to score goals for Liverpool, who will be a good signing. And then Bentancur and Valverde. I think Valverde's the main player for them. Bentancur, brilliant at Tottenham, but I'd say Valverde plays at Real Madrid. He's the talisman for them. He's the main man. So they have a really good team, Uruguay.
Yeah, Valverde has had a brilliant season for Real Madrid. Missed the 2018 World Cup, of course, now is one of Real Madrid's most important players, starting the Champions League final in May, and he's turning out to be one of Uruguay's most important players as well. We'll run you through the lineups then, starting with Uruguay. Roca is in goal. Then we've got a back four of Caceres, Jimenez, Godin, the captain, and Oliveira. Vecino in the centre of midfield with Bentancur of Tottenham and Valverde of Real Madrid as well on the right. And then the front three, Nunez of Liverpool, Suarez, the former Liverpool man, of course, alongside Pellistri, who still is yet to make a senior debut for Manchester United. That is the Uruguay starting 11. Then we'll be playing in their home regular kit that we're used to seeing of the light blue. And the camera's just trained on their record goal scorer, Luis Suarez. 68 goals he has in international appearances. This his 4th World Cup. The South Korea players playing in an all-red kit with the black numbers on the back, just in a pre-match huddle in their half as they prepare to kick off the first game of Group H, the final group to kick off in this 2022 FIFA World Cup. So the South Korea 11 is as follows: Kim Seong-hyun in goal, Kim Moon-hwan, Kim Min-jae, Kim Young-kwon and Kim Ji-sun make up the back four. Jun has a very important role to play in holding midfield with Lee Kai-song and Hwang just ahead of him. The front three of Na, Hwang Lee-jo and then Son Heung-min, the captain, the Tottenham forward, captains from the left. As we prepare to kick off here, South Korea will kick us off. They just have the ball in the centre circle at the moment. Hwang In-jo preparing to kick us off, and he does so. South Korea playing from left to right as we watch here, as we say, in their all-red kit, slight black trim on their shorts, black numbers on the back as well. They are attacking from left to right. They're in possession at the moment in the Uruguay half. Uruguay playing from right to left as we watch in the home kit we are very used to seeing, as Bentancur almost loses out the ball there and it goes for a throw-in just on the near side.
One thing you'll see with South Korea is they will work hard. Even Uruguay will try and get the ball down and play to the likes of Bentancur, Valverde to try and dictate play, but South Korea will press in their numbers. You saw it yesterday with Japan, the way they pressed Germany, and when the time is right, they'll get back into their shape. So I'm expecting goals, man. Don't worry about it. We'll get goals. We ain't going to get a boring 0-0 here.
Well, Oliveira took the throw-in for Uruguay just on this near outside touchline, a couple of yards inside Uruguay's own half, but they have lost out on the ball. And South Korea looking pretty bright in the early stages here.
Yeah, they are. It's a good ball over the top, and Jimenez has to come across and obviously defend that, to be fair, and they've got a corner. So yeah, and this is where they could be a threat. I feel when you're the lower ranked teams and you get these opportunities, you have to deliver and put good balls into the box. You know, test the Uruguay defense.
So the first corner of this game is going to be a South Korean one. They're going to take it from the right as they attack from left to right, as we're watching here. No guesses who is standing over the ball, who has the ball in his hands at the moment. Son Heung-min, very distinctive in this game. He's obviously wearing that protective black eye mask, although Lee Jae-sung also standing over this ball in the corner flag. It is Son Heung-min, though, who has his right arm raised. He does take the corner into the box. Header goes over the bar in the end and caught by the keeper.
Yeah, Rocket, the keeper, does ever so well there. It was a good ball from Son, and it was a good run to that near post, but it's well defended from Uruguay.
And long ball over the top from Rocker there, targeting those Uruguay forwards. As Darwin Núñez there gives away perhaps a foul, a free kick, and we're going to see already the physical side of Uruguay's game already in the early stages here, Clinton.
Yeah, definitely. Uruguay are always physical. They have physical players. Núñez, Suarez will put themselves about, but that's what you expect. They're at a World Cup. Their manager will expect Diego Alonso to them to press from the front and be physical and not make it easy for South Korea.
So, South Korea with a free kick that they take short in their own half. They are a side that like to play out from the back. South Korea, Paolo Bento, been in charge since just after the last World Cup in 2018, where South Korea, despite those heroics that Clinton mentioned before kickoff, beating Germany 2-0 in their final group game, failing to progress beyond the group. And Paolo Bento with an awful lot of time with this group of players now, trying to really get them to be a side that play pretty expansive football, and that physical mismatch between them and Uruguay is one we're really looking forward to seeing how that plays out today. South Korea with possession in Uruguay's half. They send it out to the left. Long ball forward. Cut out though by Uruguay, but Son Heung-min regains possession, and South Korea looking very comfortable and plenty of time in the ball in the early stages, Clinton.
Yeah, I thought Uruguay would dominate, but South Korea technically are really good on the ball.
Son Heung-min a couple of yards outside the Uruguay box, but they opt to switch it left to South Korea, and already we can see the influence that Son Heung-min is going to have on this game. All of South Korea's players are going to be going through their Tottenham talisman, certainly, I think.
Yeah, I think most of the good things will go through Son. He's the main man. They're always looking for him, but they do have other technicians in there who can get on the ball and play the good passes and incisive passes. But I think for goal scoring, it will be down to all Son.
And another set piece opportunity this for South Korea. Vecino just fouling midway through the Uruguay half, but as they do quite often, South Korea opting to switch the free kick, going backwards rather than forwards. But a lovely ball from Son Heung-min trying to feed in South Korea just on the left-hand side of the pitch, a couple of yards outside the box, but that goes backwards. So 0-0 in the early stages here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. 0-0 between Uruguay and South Korea, the opening match of Group H at this 2022 FIFA World Cup, the last group to get underway in this Winter World Cup. Uruguay with the throw-in on the far side, midway through their half. A reminder, they're shooting from right to left as we watch them in the first half. Just over 4 minutes gone in this game, as South Korea regain possession and send it all the way back to their keeper. And already, Clinton, just 4 minutes in, we are seeing that Son Heung-min is going to be the real focus for the South Korea team. Really important then that, Paolo Bento taking a gamble that he is fit.
Yeah, I think even if he's half fit, Son has to play. Lee Jae-sung is another one that he's playing in midfield. He can create stuff as well, but yeah, Son has to play. As I said, and we keep talking about him, but we talk about him because he's a special player, scoring goals in the Premier League for years for Tottenham, and he's a big player for his country, and they'll need him if they're going to get anything today.
And a lovely crossfield ball there, or it was an attempted at a lovely crossfield ball there from South Korea to try and pick out their forward line. Darwin Núñez, though, winning a free kick for Uruguay as he was hustled there by Nah, who was trying to get on the end of that long ball crossfield, and a free kick for Uruguay just inside their own half. And we talked about the physical mismatch in these two teams, Clinton. You know, you look at this Uruguay side belting their hearts out during the national anthem. Somebody put on Twitter about the vibe they give out, hard as nails, the school bullies in the playground. You definitely want them as your big brother. They'd make sure nobody took your lunch money.
Yeah, definitely. They're a physical team, but they can also play football as well. They've got a good balance. So they do well, and they usually do well in tournaments. But with this team now, I think they can go further because I think it's a good squad mixed with youth and experience.
And it is South Korea. That was Kim Moon-hwan trying to go forward just from the right flanks. South Korea, though, losing possession, and Uruguay will attempt to build now from their half. But that ball that was attempted for Luis Suarez there, just overrun, and South Korea regained possession. Quiet start from Luis Suarez.
Yeah, they can't get a foothold of the game, Uruguay. He's getting frustrated. He just wanted the ball into his feet. Palestri, Nunes, they want to get these kind of players into the game. But South Korea started really well.
South Korea there doing really well to keep the ball in play. And Uruguay they're having to come across Jimenez to put that out for a corner on the right-hand side. Really good distribution from South Korea in the early stages here.
Yeah, it was a good touch from Na on the right-hand side. He does ever so well, and Godin had to come and clear up. It was good defending.
So there will be another free kick, or corner rather, for South Korea, just from the right. So another good set-piece opportunity. 0-0 still, though, in the early stages here. Nearly 7 minutes played at the Education City Stadium. And that man, their captain, Son Heung-min, can take this corner again. South Korea's second in the early stages. The referee, though, just having a bit of a word there. Godan, unsurprisingly, showing the physical side of the game against some of these South Korea players. Good matchup between him and Kim Mi-jae. As Clinton said, a brilliant start at Napoli since he joined in the European summer. He's favourite in Serie A. He's enjoying that physical battle with Godin, certainly in the early stages here. Still 0-0 as Son puts in the corner. It's missed, comes out though to the edge of the box. South Korea give chase, and that comes off by player there.
Yeah, it's good defending there from Darwin Nunes. He has to go back and help out his defence because they've been under pressure. Some will probably be disappointed. You have to miss the first man with your corners, and because I feel it's a good opportunity to put the ball into the area where your defenders and midfielders can go and attack.
And South Korea, they hear the fans over on the far side. Certainly plenty of South Korea fans that we can see here on our monitor. Plenty of support in the Education City Stadium for South Korea as they take that throw in and try to build again now. Midway through Uruguay's half, opt to send it out now to the right. Crosses come into the box. Header went up. Uruguay player though. And Luis Suarez picks up the ball, and a good 1-2 to set Darwin Nunes on his way. He's now midway through South Korea's half. Slightly overhits that though, and good clearance work there from South Korea. Good concentrated defending from South Korea in the early stages.
Yeah, Kim Moon-won does ever so well. Nunes wants to knock it past him and wants to go for a race with him, but it's really good defending, and that's the first time probably Uruguay have been in South Korea's half.
Oliveira then with this throw in for Uruguay. They're probably about 10 yards or so out, just on this near side touchline, so in a really good position here to get this throw in, and then the subsequent cross perhaps into South Korea's box. He feeds it into the feet of Suarez there, who the touch really was a little bit heavy, and Uruguay missed out. And now it's South Korea again going on the counter down the right hand side. Hwang trying to get on the end of that. Good defensive clearance work though from the Uruguay captain Godan.
Yeah, Hwang Ujo tries to get him behind. It's a good ball. It's clipped down, but Godin reads it. It might not be the quickest, but one thing with Godin, he's been there, seen it, done it, and he's got good experience. He already reads that the ball's going in there, and it goes out for a throw. And Son's got problems with his captain's armband. His arms are not big enough, and the armband's too big for him.
It was slipping down a couple of times.
He needs to do more. He needs to do more gym work. I've been seeing a few things on social.
Needs some arm days.
Yeah, Micah Richards. He needs to go to the gym with Micah because he loves it.
He loves a good arm day. South Korea taking this throw in and have given away. I think that was a foul. And that will be Uruguay with possession. But just going back to that good clearance work there from Godan, you know, we talked a lot in the build-up about the lack of game time that he's had, 2 months out in the build-up to this World Cup with tendinitis. Again, it's a big call to start him when you've got a South Korea team who are going to be full of energy and running and pressing all the time. But early signs show that it was the right decision.
Yeah, I think it's his experience. You look at the bench, Sebastian Cortez, who used to be at Liverpool, he's playing at Sporting, could have started the game. But I think they see Godin as he's the captain. He's one of their best players that played for them many years. And I think his experience helps him, especially in the first game in the World Cup. So I think if he said to the manager he's fit, then the manager's going to put him in the starting 11.
Vecino of Atsios just put the ball out for a throw-in on this near side for South Korea midway through their own half, and they take it up to the halfway line. Goes out again for another throw-in. 0-0, 10.5 minutes played here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This opening game of Group H, this final group yet to get underway at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and the other two sides in this group play next, Portugal and Ghana. So if side can get anything out of this game, an early advantage, that would be good, because it is quite an open group, this one, and certainly you want to start things off well.
Yeah, you're right. I think, but there's no easy groups in the World Cup when you qualify, but this is a tough group as well. But there's a lot of tough groups in the World Cup.
South Korea with possession in their own half again. Now that's with Jung in the centre circle. Really good distributor of the ball, John. A really key part of this South Korea team under Paulo Bento. Son on the left. You can hear the cheers and the cries from the crowd on that far side, who are South Korea fans, as they believe their captain was fouled, and so did he, from that face he's just made at the referee. What do you think, Clinton?
Yeah, you can see he does. No, it's not a foul for me. I think he's good defend. He tried. Son kind of.
Molti poveri che non percepiscono il reddito di cittadinanza, quindi è stato fatto molto.
Players further up the field, because he can create chances and also can score goals.
It's the first early warning sign for South Korea. Still Uruguay 0, South Korea 0. 12.5 minutes played. Coverage of all of the games of the 2022 FIFA World Cup across BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. If you're out and about, take us with you with your BBC Sounds app, as South Korea have possession just on the left. Up to switch it now again, more into the midfield, and the ball is cleared from the edge of the area as Darwin Núñez dispossesses South Korea. Sends the ball up to Suarez. Now he's moved it across field. Uruguay now with Valverde, opt to send it to the right. Caceres setting up Balestri. And this is a good bit of play really here from Uruguay, good bit of possession as they really try and find their way into the game, something they've really failed to do as yet, but good bit of possession here for them here at the moment. Oliveira sends it back to Jimenez.
I told you about the shape that they would have. Look at the shape from South Korea. They don't mind Godin and and the centre backs having the ball there. They're not bothered because you're not hurting. It's when it comes into Bentancur, Valverde, that's when they'll go and press and try to play on the counter attack.
Yeah, under Paulo Bento, South Korea very used sometimes to playing almost a 5 in defence when they're not in possession, and they're happy here for Uruguay to kind of knock it around, really, just around the centre of the pitch, because they're not really finding any.
I tell you one thing, Maz, Caceres won't really go forward that much. He's better defender going forward. It will have to be Oliveira.
And that's unlike Jung, the South Korea midfielder, giving the ball away now here, and Balestri with it just midway through the South Korea half. But some really good work there from the holding midfielder to win possession again. His mistake, he followed Balestri all the way and regaining possession for South Korea. That just sums up the hard work that this team always put into every aspect of their game.
Yeah, it's a given with the South Korea team. They have to work hard. If you lose the ball, can the next person go and win the ball back? And that's what they've done. Balestri will be disappointed. He doesn't check his shoulders, and they win the ball back comfortably. And now South Korea start to build an attack again.
It's Jung again. He is the distributor really across the centre of that South Korea team. He's been a mainstay really under Paulo Bento since the Portuguese took over as head coach over 4 years ago now. He's been selected basically pretty much every squad that Bento has had, and certainly when he's been available, if he's not been injured or he's not been unavailable for some reason, he's always been that consistent mainstay in the centre of the park for South Korea, and looking really bright in the early stages. The long crossfield ball there out to the left for South Korea. Sujun tries to get the cross into the box, just going over the top of the crossbar though.
Yeah, it's a good ball. You're right, from Jun Wong Young. It was a hell of a ball from midfield. He sprays it diagonal and he just can't keep in. He tries to get his cross in, It goes already. The ball already goes out, but they look a threat, South Korea. I actually came into the game today thinking Uruguay will dominate, and not that it will be comfortable because there's no easy games in the World Cup apart from Spain. But Spain can do that to a lot of teams against Costa Rica, but there's no easy games. So I thought it would be more Uruguay dominating, but South Korea have dominated the first half so far.
That was Kim Ji-sun running onto the end of that really nice crossfield ball. I mean, we talk about South Korea, and this is a 10th successive World Cup for them. So, they are showing, obviously, that real improvement, that progress. When we think of 20 years on from their home World Cup in 2002, a lot of these players talk about the memories of watching that home World Cup as the reason they got into football, which makes me feel really old. What are your memories of 2002, Clinton?
No, I was at the World Cup in 2002, so I got good memories of it. I was there part of the island squad, so yeah, it was brilliant memories. But yeah, that makes me feel old now, so I think we should just concentrate on this game instead of talking about how old I am.
Well, that was their best finish, of course, in 2002, South Korea, as they have a player down injured here. Just looked like there was a painful knock on the knee of Na there. He's up on his feet, but limping a bit, just clutching his right knee. Seems to be running it off now, though, and looking to get on the end of this ball. Goes out to the right, though, to Kim. Cross is blocked by Darwin Núñez, and then a mix-up in the South Korea attack means that it goes out for a goal kick. Impressive, though, to see Darwin Núñez at the back there, though, as well, doing his bit defending for the team.
Yeah, you asked any strike. He probably don't want to be doing that, but he is doing that because they're playing like a front three. Pelestri on the right, Suarez in the middle, Núñez on the left. He's done it a few times at Liverpool. I think his best position is playing through the middle. So I thought maybe they might go a 4-4-2, but they've actually started in a 4-3-3 Uruguay.
Yeah, the reminder, Darwin Núñez is sort of playing out of his favourite position, really, because Suarez is the main man up front and the current Liverpool man in a supportive role, really, of the former Liverpool man, with Pelistri up there as well in that front three. So really interesting that Uruguay have gone for the 4-3-3 rather. They had a lot of success in their qualifiers in a 4-2-2 as the shot comes in there from Valverde. He's claiming for a corner. It certainly went over the crossbar. And interesting to see if the final touch came off a South Korea player, but a good, quick bit of counter-attacking there from Uruguay, Clinton.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball. It's a great run from Valverde from midfield. His first touch is brilliant. He takes it with his right to get it away, but it's at a height where it's difficult to control it and take it down. But brilliant touch from Valverde, and it just goes over the bar. But that's better from Uruguay.
That's probably Uruguay's best chance. Still no goals, 18 and a half minutes played at the Education City Stadium. It was a goal kick, so South Korea take it short and are going to build again, as they so often do from the back, trying to make some inroads down the left and up to send it back to Jung, their midfielder linchpin, and losing out to Godin, who now picks up possession for Uruguay in the South Korea half. Tries the looping ball forward to Suarez. It goes up for throw-in on the far side. 0-0 nearly 20 minutes gone here on BBC Radio 5 Live in this final first group game of this 2022 World Cup. Uruguay against South Korea. It is going to be a throw-in for Uruguay in the far side. Caceres, so experienced, one of these real experienced players in this side, taking the long throw-in, a good throw-in as well. That's going through straight to Uruguay in the box, and South Korea forced to try a bit of an interesting clearance, and it goes out again for a Uruguay throw-in, just level with the 18-yard box on this near side.
Yeah, Caceres throws it into Vecino in the box, and he tries to hook it back, but there's not enough bodies in the box, and South Korea deal with it. But the game's starting to open up now because Uruguay getting into the game. They were dominating South Korea, and I think that's better for South Korea if Uruguay do come out and start playing, because they'll be good on the counter-attack.
Godin with the ball at his feet at the moment, the Uruguay captain, opting to switch it left this time, and Bentancur, one of the players, has been calling for the ball in really good form at the moment. Tries to feed it in there, and the foul comes in from South Korea player, and it will be a Uruguay free kick just inside their own half.
Yeah, Jung just catches Oliveira. Oliveira just gets told to it, but I think he gets the ball. It's the follow through from Jung. He does get the ball, but it's the follow through why the referee gives the decision. But when you're running at that pace, man, it's hard to control it. I think he got the ball. I don't think it should be a free kick. And the manager, Paulo Bento, is telling the referee he doesn't agree either.
He completely agrees with you. Pelestri there with the feed in into Núñez. He falls over, then the cross comes in again from the left from Uruguay. And that was a really good chance there for Uruguay. As we can see there on the replay and on monitors here, that certainly they were onside. Pelistri there with the cross into the box. Nunes misses it. Suarez attempts to then get the knock on as the cross then comes back in from the left. Should he have done better with that?
They should do better, Nunes. Uruguay should be winning 1-0. Pelistri does ever so well. It's a great diagonal pass, and Pelistri controls it. And Nunes just gets in front. I will give credit to Kim and Jay, who kind of tries to ease him out, but once he gets there, he totally miskicks it, Nunes. It was good defending, but I think he knows he should be 1-0 up.
Midway through this first half then, Uruguay giving South Korea a real scare. They should be ahead, but it still remains goalless in this opening group match of Group H. But Uruguay can really feel that the momentum has shifted, and they suddenly have the bit between their teeth in this game now.
Yeah, they are. They're dominating possession now, and South Korea were good at the early stages, but that's what they have to be careful of. They are looking to hit that diagonal to Pelistri and to Nunes, so that's what South Korea have to be careful of.
Yeah, Jung, one of those players who's going to be really, really important for them, just gesturing at some of his teammates where he wants them to line up. Got to keep an eye on some of these really prolific attacking options that Uruguay have. Really exciting South Korean team, and South Korean support as well has been a big part of this. South American support, I should say, has been a really big part of this World Cup as well. We've seen plenty of Brazil fans already at this World Cup, plenty of Uruguay fans in the stands here as well. Sea of blue behind the goal they're attacking in this first half of the Education City Stadium, and they really are seeing a lot more of the ball now in South Korea's half. Bentancur really knocking it about with plenty of free time, and well, then clearly a game plan from South Korea not to shut or try and close Uruguay down in this area of the field, but it just allows Uruguay so much of the ball.
Yeah, you are right. I feel that is let the centre halves have it for sure, but when it goes into the Valverde, into Bentancur, the technicians and the team, that's when you have to go and press. And at the moment, it's a good spell from Uruguay.
Ball, plenty of time. Bentancur sends it out to the left this time. Now Uruguay are in South Korea half. 23 minutes played on BBC Radio 5 Live. Take us with you wherever you go on BBC Sounds as well. That's a foul from South Korea as they try to regain the ball on Valverde. And this will be a good set-piece opportunity for Uruguay, perhaps in South Korea's half.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll turn it down. They'll send up the defenders, and they will try and put it into the box. It will have to be good delivery, because that's what you want. Pull it, good delivery, and give players a chance to go and attack the ball.
Valverde so full of confidence and started the season so well for Real Madrid. Really key part in the Champions League victory for Real Madrid, of course, in May in the Champions League final as well, setting up the winner. He is, not surprisingly, perhaps the player standing over the sport. Referee just making sure that there isn't too much physical battles going on before he blows his whistle in the box. Valverde lofts the free kicking, header goes up, it goes out. And, well, Uruguay seemed disappointed that they didn't do better with that set-piece opportunity. Jimenez with his head in his hands there, Clinton.
Yeah, he does. I feel he feels he's going to get a touch, but it's a really good header just before Jimenez is about to head it. It's really good defending. And that Uruguay get a corner from him.
Yeah, corner from the right for Uruguay. 25 minutes gone in this first half between Uruguay and South Korea in Group H at this World Cup. Valverde, the man who's going to take it on the far side. The corner from the right then for Uruguay. Corner comes in, headers go up. It's cleared out the area by South Korea. Picked up though by Caceres and sends it back to Uruguay defence. They opt to go left this time, or through the middle rather. Nunes on the ball trying to feed in Suarez, but South Korea able to clear it. And now they're setting Son away in his counter-attack. Listen to the noise from the South Korean fans as they watch their talisman as he skips past one, tries to skip past another. Cross comes in from the corner of the 18-yard box, played out for a throw. But that's just what Son can do on the counter, showing what he shows in, week out in the top shirt.
Caceres can't live with Son in a one-on-one. He skips past him like he did not. He does catch him. He goes inside Valverde and he tries to whip it. So cross comes shot, but it's well defended. But that's what South Korea want. They want Uruguay to come out and then on the counter attack, because I don't think any defender in that Uruguay back four can stay with Son when he's running them at them one-on-one.
He looks like he's running all right, still wearing that mask. His manager talked about him training in it all week to get used to wearing it. And it seems to not have made a difference at the moment. Uruguay claiming for a handball there as South Korea tried to work the ball from that throw-in on the left-hand side. Now it's Uruguay who gain possession with Bentancur. They are on the counter now into midway through South Korea's half. Ball goes out on the left to Nunez. Tight angle, blocked by the goalkeeper. And South Korea breathe again, still with the ball in their own half. Now they send it forward. Too long. It'll be gathered by the Uruguay keeper, but a good chance there for Uruguay. Should Darwin Nunez have done a lot better, though?
He shouldn't do better. Do you know he should do better, Maz? Oliveira. The pass is terrible. All he has to do is cushion it into Nunez's pass, and he can bend that into the far corner. Oliveira gets excited, weighs a fullback, getting into a position which he's unknown for, and overhits the pass. If he just plays that to Nunez can come onto that and bend it into the far corner. So it's poor play, but that is the first time South Korea have been open where they've took too many players forward, and Uruguay played on the counter-attack there.
Yeah, too over-eager South Korea there. A little bit overexcited, leaving themselves exposed at the back. But still without a goal in this opening Group H matches. Palestra goes on the running left for Uruguay. Dispossessed, though, showing a little bit too much of the ball to Kim in the South Korea defence, and then he is fouled, and that will be a South Korea free kick in their own half, and they will be happy to take that. Just take a few moments to just calm this down game a little bit, because momentum's really shifted Uruguay's way in the last couple of minutes.
It has, and we're watching the replay again. It's not a hard pass. He's just totally overhit it, Oliveira, to Nunez. All he has to do is just play it into his path, and he's totally overhit it, and it's frustrated, because that's a big opportunity for Uruguay. But you're right, Kim Ji-sun is going to have it difficult with Palestri, because he looks really lively on the right-hand side, a young Man United star. I know he hasn't played for Man United as yet, but he's a star and he's got great potential.
Yeah, a player that his manager, Diego Alonso, has selected, even though, as Clinton says, he hasn't played a senior minute for Manchester United at all, but made a big difference to this Uruguay side, who won all their qualifiers this year after a difficult time in South American qualifying, unbeaten competitively under Diego Alonso since he took over at the beginning of the year. South Korea, though, with possession in Uruguay's half. Now it's back with the defence in the centre circle. They send the long ball forward. That is going to be too long, though, for South Korea to chase down. That's going to be a throw-in for Uruguay, yards inside their own half. 0-0, 29 minutes played between Uruguay and South Korea here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Paulo Bento, the South Korea coach, is looking a little bit concerned on the touchline, because in the last couple of minutes this game has perhaps gone back a little bit in momentum of Uruguay. Oliveira taking the throw in. Good bit of work over there from South Korea to regain possession in Uruguay's half, and they have it out here on a tight angle on the right. Bentancur. Some work, though, to put it out for another throw in, which South Korea will take a couple of yards just inside the byline on this near side touchline, deep inside Uruguay's half, which they take. They're going to try and get the cross in. Good bit of pressing, though, from Darwin Nunez, forcing play back. South Korea forced all the way back into their own half as we approach the half-hour mark now. This game.
They're trying to press Uruguay, you can see, but they're pressing as individuals. You see Suarez saying to the midfielders, come on, press together, but South Korea have done well to get out of that, and you can see he's getting more and more frustrated up front, Luis Suarez.
Yeah, the body language he just gave out there, really quite interesting, wasn't it? Almost back to his place there, Luis Suarez, and again, he's put his head down, he's really not seen an awful lot of the ball at all. I mean, there was that great chance that he had a few minutes ago, and that's probably the kind of only sniff really he's had. South Korea have done pretty well so far keeping Luis Suarez quiet.
Yeah, I think if he gets the chance Nunez gets, he probably puts that in the back of the net, because even though Nunez is a natural striker, scored a lot of goals at Benfica, been scoring goals at Liverpool, but it was just the way he didn't take it straight away, and that was a sign of is he in confident mood, and he should be, because he's been scoring at Liverpool recently.
Yeah, joined obviously Liverpool at the beginning of the season. It's been, though, a bit of a mixed start for Darwin Nunez in the Premier League, and I think you can tell that he's perhaps not full of confidence in the way he wasn't able really to take on that chance that he had a couple of minutes ago. Probably the best of this first half. Uruguay with the two best chances really, but it is still goalless. With about 15 minutes to go to half-time now on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sound. South Korea now with the ball midway through Uruguay's half. Cross comes in from the left. Header goes up, misses everyone though. And the ball will go out for a throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, it was good play from South Korea again. The ball goes out to Kim Joo-sun on the left-hand side, and he puts it into an area, but they've got 3 or 4 bodies in there, but he just overhits it. But the opportunity is out for the fullbacks to get forward, because when Son and the other winger come inside, there's spaces for the fullbacks to get forward and get crosses into the box.
This is going to be a throw-in, just a couple of yards inside the near side touchline in Uruguay's half. As well, about 32 minutes gone now in this half. Oliveira taking it, throwing it up towards Nunes, and it will go out for another throw-in. This one a South Korea one. Midway through Uruguay's half now, and good bit of work there from South Korea to hold off Uruguay as they physically tried to outmuscle the South Korea side. In terms of that physical battle, I mean, half an hour gone, Clinton. South Korea handled it pretty well. We talk a lot about the physical mismatch, perhaps, of these two sides, but they seem to have handled that pretty well in the opening half hour.
No, they have. They've competed ever so well, because we always hear about Uruguay being strong and physically stronger than most, but they've competed even when crosses have gone into the box. As long as you're not going to get the first contact, make sure you compete and they don't get a free header. And that's what South Korea have done so far.
And it is South Korea again on the ball. Nice ball fed out to the left. They're going to try and get the cross in here, a couple of yards outside the byline, cross into the Uruguay box, headed clear by Bentancur. Picked up though by South Korea, and they still maintain possession, regain possession in Uruguay's half. And another frustrated kind of body language there that we're seeing from Luis Suarez, who certainly is feeling frustrated, I think, with perhaps the overall kind of performance of this first half. We're expecting the back of the net there to billow as the cross came in there from the right to Hwang Hee-jo. And what a chance that was from Hwang Hee-jo, the Nottingham Forest loanee at Olympiacos this season. Dearie me, that was a really, really good chance there, Clinton.
Hwang to score. He's just 7 yards out, Maz, and he's lean over it and just toss it into the back of net. It's a great opportunity, and Kim does ever so well down the right hand side, and once it comes into Wang, he's got to do better. He's leaning back and he plays it over the bar. Just slot it into the bottom corner. It tells me a striker that's not in confident form, because he should really be hitting the target there.
That opportunity. Absolutely the best chance so far of this half. I mean, do you think it just is a lack of composure? He went too quickly. Go down was obviously maybe perhaps coming into his island from the left as well, but
he was. But you know what? He can. No, it's a great chance. He's got Golden coming across him. You know what he's doing? He's leaning back instead of going to meet it, going onto it to then whip it into the far corner. He's leaning back, and once you're leaning back, the ball's going to rise over the net. But it's a brilliant opportunity. They probably wanted that to fall to Son, because if that falls to Son, it's 1-0 to South Korea.
Just shown a replay of Son with his head in his hands there as well. What an opportunity that was for South Korea. The best opportunity of this first half falling to South Korea 10 minutes before half-time. And Uruguay this time are able to breathe a little easier, because it really should be. Uruguay 0, South Korea 1. As it is, still goalless. 10 minutes till half-time here on BBC Radio 5 Live. If you are out and about, do take us with you on BBC Sounds. People are starting their Christmas shopping. You start your Christmas shopping,
when they're driving, they want to listen to me and you. Yeah, please listen. Turn the radio on and listen to us.
And already today, of course, on BBC Radio 5 Live, we've brought you Switzerland against Cameroon, as Oliveira tries to run down the cross from the right. They'll go out for a throw-in. Cross from Valverde, a little bit overhit. Already today on BBC Radio 5 Live, we brought you Switzerland against Cameroon. Switzerland winning that game 1-0. 4 games a day, such a packed day of World Cup action we've got for you here. As South Korea take that throw-in. Lose out though. Good work by Bentancur to regain possession for Uruguay in South Korea's half. Valverde very calmly playing it back to Caceres and Godin. 2 very experienced defenders, as we're saying, playing in their 4th World Cup Serious Godin, which is a remarkable achievement. Jimenez, Caceres now, who now sends it out to Pelistri on the right. And again, as we talked about already this game, South Korea very happy for Uruguay just to tap it around really in this area of the pitch. South Korea very happy for Uruguay just to tap it around really in this area of the pitch. To go till half time, either side yet to get a breakthrough, but there have been some mightily close moments for both sides, in particular a couple of minutes ago for Hwang Ee-jo, Nottingham Forest man on loan at Olympiacos. Should really have shown better composure and to see that one into the back of the net, but as it is still 0-0.
You're not missing anything, people, anyway.
Going to try and make something happen on the right, but I guess that's a reflection as well of how organised South Korea are off the ball, Clinton, that most of the time when they've really concentrated, and they have lost the shape a couple of times, and just demonstrated there is that Oliveira puts the ball out for a throw-in on this near side over hitting it, that most of the time South Korea off the ball have been really organised, really concentrated, and kept their shape, making it really difficult for Uruguay to break them down.
They do, and that's a lot of work on the training. You've got to credit the manager and the players that buy into what the manager's telling them, but yeah, that's a lot of work on the training ground. They know when to press, when to get back into their shape, and that's what they're doing well at the moment. Just force the mistake. Sorry, there from Uruguay, and they keep the ball out of play. So I think
mid-side touchline, they are attacking towards their fans in this first half, South Korea, and they really are full of noise. The South Korean fans have been chanting, banging their drums all this first half. Hopefully you can hear it behind us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. They send the ball back into their half. It's with Kim in the defence. Now it goes forward on the left. That's Son Heung-min with that distinctive facial mask that he's got on. Switches it out to the right. Now it moves more centrally again. Couple of yards outside the box. The shot comes in. Well out wide. That seemed quite an optimistic one to go for there, Clinton, but that was well out wide. That was 25 yards out. Tried to take the shot on there, Hwang, and well over in the end.
Yeah, Wang and boom. I feel like he may be trying to whip that into the far corner, man, but it then becomes a shot and it just flies over the top because it's really ambitious to be the goalkeeper from there.
And a nice ball there from Uruguay, cutting through the South Korea defence, but again, just a little bit overhit. Darwin Núñez not the South Korea defence, but again, just a little bit overhit. Darwin Núñez not able to run to the end of it. Now it's South Korea on the counter on the edge of the 18-yard box. Now they're in the box. Cross comes in from the left, a couple of yards out. Cleared somewhat by Uruguay. Valverde picking it up, mopping up, showing all the composure that he's shown in a Real Madrid shirt this season and getting Uruguay out of trouble there. Darwin Núñez with a coming together with South Korean player goes down. South Korea able to regain possession and build again from the right. Will now go out though for a throw-in on this near side after the ball comes off Oliveira.
Yeah, Lee Jang-sung done ever so well there. He drives into the box and cuts it back, and Son gets in the way of his teammate. They kind of like collide together, and then you're right. As Valverde does ever so hard, what midfielders does, come back into the shape and manages to clear it, but South Korea are on the front foot at the moment. They're dominating.
The momentum shifted once more with 5 minutes to go for stoppage time till half time. Still goalless in this Group H opening match, but South Korea starting the more strongly. Uruguay then wrestling back momentum really, but South Korea in these final few minutes looking promising again, and they're the fans that are making the noise at this end that they're attacking in this first half. Now the ball's with Suarez, but pass back is not a good one, and South Korea almost able to get on the attack again, and he'll be relieved to see too much Luis Suarez, but South Korea as organised as they are and as pressing as they are, regain possession again, and Luis Suarez is kind of a frustrated figure out there.
No, he is, but he has to hold the ball up. The ball then comes into him there, Maz. He can't be frustrated with his teammates if he's not being reliable when it comes up to him.
And the ball's fed in to South Korea in the box. Cross comes in from the right, blocked by Uruguay. Only so far though as South Korea again, who now try to get another cross in, blocked again. South Korea with the ball with Jun, feeds it into Son Heung-min, edge of the box, out now to the right. Plenty of outfield players for Uruguay back. As we approach half-time here, still goalless. Can South Korea get the breakthrough a couple of minutes before half-time at the Education City Stadium? Jun distributing so well as he has done for the majority of this first half is assessing his options, passes it to Son. Son now sends it back. And South Korea with a good bit of possession in the Uruguay half in the final few minutes of this first half. About 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time to play. Paolo Bento on the edge of his technical area, watching as his team tried to find the breakthrough in the final couple of minutes of this first half. Go down there, shepherding along with Oliveira to get the ball to, well, relative safety. And then Rodrigo with some good work to send Palestri on his way out on the right. Uruguay on the counter. Suarez trying to get on the end of that. John doing really well to get the ball and get it to safety for a corner. Good work there.
It's a good break from Uruguay. It's a great ball from Valverde down the right to Palestri, and he picks Suarez out. It's going to be an opportunity, but John, it's brilliant tracking back. He does ever so well because Suarez definitely looked like he's going to hit the target with that shot, but it's good play from Uruguay and really good defending from John.
So with 3 minutes to go until half time, this could be a really timely opportunity for Uruguay. It's going to be a corner for them from the right. I imagine it's going to be Valverde. He's taking it, but the referee is just making sure that everybody is getting organised in this box. It is Valverde. Corner comes in, headers go up, and it was off the post, the left-hand post. That was so mighty close from the Uruguay captain, Diego Godin.
Yeah, he got it. He gets a free header, to be fair, and that's the one thing. They do attack the ball, and he gets up early, heads it, and I'm thinking that's going in the back of the net, but it goes to the post, and it goes away to safety, and South Korea managed to clear it, but it's a great header from Godin, but once it's a great, he towers above him. Brilliant header.
Yeah, it's a real physical mismatch. Another set-piece opportunity for Uruguay this here as Oliveira sends it back to Bentancur. Uruguay still with possession in South Korea's half, but what a chance that was for their captain Godin to give Uruguay a half-time lead here. I mean, the two players marking him, Clinton, did go up, but like you say, the physical mismatch is such that he towered above them, even though all three of them were jumping up at the same time.
Yeah, he wanted to win it. He went up. He wanted to win it more, and he did. He went and attacked it. The ball in is brilliant. Once you whip a ball in like that, it says go and head me, but you got to credit Golden. It's a fantastic header. South Korea are really fortunate there.
So a couple of minutes to go, 1.5 minutes, 1 minute I've got till half time with stoppage time as well here. Uruguay still goalless against South Korea in this opening group match of Group H as Godin on the ball now. Closest opportunity that anyone's come to opening the scoring in this first half. Sends the ball forward to Oliveira on the left in South Korea's half. And wow, some good bit of work there from South Korea. A header along the ground there to regain possession, but Nunes showing all of his strength to regain possession, goes down under a foul, challenge, and it will be a free kick for Uruguay just inside the South Korea half. And Clinton's laughing because we're, as Mark Chapman mentioned before, commentary, we are doing this game from our studios in Salford, and torrential rain is just hitting the windows of the studio that we are in here on the third floor of this building as Uruguay have possession with Palestri on the left. Now it's back with Bentancur. Now Valverde sends it out to Oliveira, cross from the left. Header goes in, wide. It's another good opportunity.
I think Jimenez got his head on there and he just couldn't direct it. But they're a threat. We did say that, Maz. There'll be a threat from crosses into the box, and that's what Uruguay are. So it's going to be difficult for South Korea. That's where you have to get touch tight and complete no free headers like Godin had a couple of minutes ago.
Just 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half, which feels weird to say because we've been having 7 minutes, 9 minutes.
Are they sure it's
just the one?
That's going to be a quiz question at the end of the tournament. That is the lowest one, and they're usually above 5.
And we're into that minute of stoppage time now, so probably 30 seconds or so to go in this game until half time. Still goalless as the goal kick is taken by Kim in the South Korea goal. It's all the way up into Uruguay's half, goes out though for a thrown on this near side. And that is that for the first half. So goalless in the opening match in Group H between Uruguay and South Korea, but it has been a really entertaining goalless draw, Clinton Morris. And great chances for Suarez, should have done better with one at one end. Nunes as well. Hwang Ee-jo with an absolutely brilliant opportunity to put South Korea ahead. And then Godin the Uruguayan captain hitting the post at the other end. It has been an action-packed 0-0.
No, it has. It's been really good. It's been entertaining. You usually get 0-0s and you think, is it a boring one? Nah. South Korea have been on the front foot. They've been excellent in possession, causing problems. And also Uruguay grew into the game slowly but surely. But it's gone one way and then it's gone the other way. There will be goals in this game. I said it before, and hopefully I'm not wrong. But it's been a good 0-0, but there has been chances created.
So 0-0 at half-time between Uruguay and South Korea. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying slightly better weather than we are here, Mark Chapman.
Well, dusk always falls around this time in Doha, so it's just starting to go dark at nearly 10 to 5 out here in Qatar, 10 to 2 back in the UK. South Korea, you would think in particular, could be left to rue that very good chance they had, Clinton.
Oh, it's a great chance, chappers. Kim does well, and Wang Yu-Jo, should put that in the back of the net. It's a brilliant opportunity. I don't understand how he's got so much time. He could even take a touch and then pick his spot, but he's leaning back. He doesn't come on and meet it, and it's a brilliant opportunity. And they could rue it, but they have been good though, chappers, in this first half. They've impressed me.
Okay, Clinton Morrison and Mas Faruqi bringing you Uruguay against South Korea. That is goalless at half-time. Earlier, Switzerland beat Cameroon by a 0-0. Still to come, Portugal, Ghana, and Brazil, Serbia. We'll hear from the England camp during a half-time, ahead of their game with the United States, which is a late one tomorrow, so 7 o'clock kickoff UK time for that. But first, here's Richard Foster.
Take the World Cup with you, Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this
BBC Sounds. Yeah. How do you say about this match? It's a great match. The players,
unless there's government support from January. David Alexander.
They send a very long pass in the air. Delegate is old national. Old national. It's players. A player. Yeah. An old player.
So he says Freeform Productions paid him off and didn't renew his contract. The company and Channel 4, which shows the programme, said they wanted him to stay but couldn't get insurance.
The World Cup on BBC Sounds, with coverage of every single game on 5 Live.
1982 82 1000
Football tournament on the
1982 national team of Algeria is win against Germany. West German. 1982. اتفرجت البارح على سيري باللغة الألمانية. فهمت شوية. من ترجمتي فيها ترجمات. بعد ارسلها لي. شحال حلقة فيها؟
بزاف.
عندك كامل السيري كامل؟ حلقة واحدة برك.
On some of his players' fitness ahead of that game to our reporter Kelly Summers.
Well, Gareth, let's start with the news that everyone wants. Just how is Harry Kane?
Yes, fine. He's worked slightly separately from the group today on the second day recovery, but all good for Friday night.
What about Harry Maguire? He came off early in the game against Iran. Kyle Walker and James Maddison weren't available on Monday. How are they doing?
Yeah, so Harry, much better. He was feeling a bit ill, and that was affecting his vision a little bit. The good thing was, obviously, you worry about a concussion in that instance, and he hadn't remembered anything, which might not be a good sign, by the way. But we were going back to all the footage. There's nothing, and FIFA were doing the same, because obviously there's a lot of focus on that area. So he's in good form. Kyle Walker has continued to step up his training with the group. James hasn't got back with the group yet, so we're hoping that in the next couple of days that might change. But he's definitely a doubt for the game in the States.
So do you think Harry Maguire will be okay for Friday?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And Kyle Walker?
Yes, Kyle will be available for selection. Yeah.
But potentially not James Maddison at this stage.
I would say not. No.
Okay. Let's look back on the Iran game then. You came out post-match and said to me you were being a bit of a grumpy so. Have you had a chance to look back and are you feeling any more positive about it now?
Yeah, of course. I have to remind myself that we've got opening game of the World Cup, potentially a tricky obstacle to overcome, and we've managed to score 6 goals. So I think immediately after the game, because the game had petered out and the end was disappointing from our perspective, because we want to be good at both ends of the pitch. I just wanted to make sure that the team remembered that won't be enough, and we've got to make sure that we're back to the psychological place we were at the start of the previous game going into this next game, because States will be all guns blazing. They press really well, and we'll have to be right on our game from the start of it.
England and yourself have received a lot of credit for the attacking way that you played and some of the performances going forward. Did you see enough in that game to suggest that England can play like that going forward as a team?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we often have. I think people have a certain lens at certain times, and of course our last few games prior to the World Cup were a little bit complicated for us. But I think if you spoke with the players, they would be very clear on how they're asked to play and the freedom they're given to play ever since we took over here. So, yeah, I know that narrative's there, but all we can do is play the football we want to play, be the team we want to be, and do our talking on the pitch, really.
Have you felt a mood shift or a mood change around the group and potentially the noise around it as well since the result on Monday?
I haven't, because we were really looking forward to Monday, and I'm kind of shut off in my own bubble in our hotel and oblivious to everything else that's going on, really. So I haven't noticed any change. The players might, because they're obviously reading more, listening to more, talking to more people. But for me, I know how we wanted to approach that first game. I know the environment we've wanted to create for the players since they arrived. And Monday was a great start, and we've tried to focus on just that reset now for being ready for Friday.
What are you expecting from the USA?
Athletic team, press really well, well organised, well coached. Obviously, quite a few players we know from the Premier League, and yeah, they showed in the first half against Wales the best side of themselves, that they can cause problems. They're going to put us under pressure when we're in possession of the ball, and we've got to make sure that we've got the solutions for that.
Gareth Southgate with Kelly Summers. He's relaxed but not getting carried away. That would be the best way to sum that up, wouldn't it?
I think he's a lot more relaxed than he was before the first game, wasn't he? And John Murray was saying he's a little bit tetchy, wasn't he? And now I think that just the unknowing of how they were going to perform, whether it would click, whether the energy would be there. They've got that answer now, and he knows that he's got the better side. He knows that they're a better team than America. If, and it's a big if, they go out and do the same again, then they should be in a good enough shape to win that game as well.
Well, also, the other thing is, even though he speaks brilliantly on all subjects, he's being asked players, former players, the formations, and in the build-up to this tournament, that was a very small part of the questions. Not that he was averse to answering them and realised that was part of it, but he's answering a lot easier questions now than he was in the 2 weeks leading up to it.
He's at home. He's on his own territory now again, and he's in a position now where he's got pretty much the squad he would like. Reece James maybe is the one that you'd say is the obvious one. Ben Chilwell on the left is the other one. But compared to other sides, actually, he's got fit players. He's got players out there playing well, and a unit and a team that's working, and he can focus on the game itself.
Luke Shaw also spoke today, and this is what he expects from Friday's opponents.
A really good team, some really good players, very direct, very aggressive, really high pressure, especially in the start of the game. And I think that's something we need to be ready for. They're going to press us as soon as that whistle starts. So it's going to be a very intense game, and, one we need to be ready for. We need to keep that attacking intent. We need to play forward. We need to be in their half, play in their half, and create the chances, because, you look at our attacking threat, it's world class, and, we need to be feeding them in the areas that where they can score from. Of course, we analyse the team, but I think the most important thing for us is to focus on ourselves and make sure that we're all playing at a high level, and we start quick with the way the USA play.
The USA caused Wales real problems, didn't they, Rob, in that first game, in the first half, and then Wales changed it in the second half, brought Kiefer Moore on, went more direct, and that's where the USA, precisely, they beat the USA press that way.
Yes, and that's what I think England did in a really healthy balance against Iran in the first game, was when they needed to go long, they went long, and they weren't really it wasn't a bashful thing. We're doing this, it's a game plan. And actually, one of the goals, with a wonderful touch from Harry Kane, set up one of the goals in the second half. And it's a great point, because that's where the space is. Gareth is quite a pragmatic guy, and he will turn around and say, look, if that's where the space is, that's where we need to play. Luke Shaw's already touched on it there. It's clearly a game plan. It's clearly something they're going to have to do. Fight it. It's an old school tactic. Lock it long early doors, first 15, win the battle, go and play your football.
Sorry, I was slightly distracted, Rob, by Kelly takes over from me at the end of this second half, and she seems to come in with what's that? Is that a 4 kilogram tub of crisps?
Look, it's
a 400-gram tub of crisps she's brought into the studio.
You've clearly not done a shop in the local supermarket, because they are front and centre as you walk in.
I haven't been there yet. No.
Well, I'm not saying anything about your cooking abilities, but we've seen your coffee making abilities today.
I had a slight issue with the coffee machine. It's a simple filter coffee machine here.
Simple was the word.
Simple was the word, which I, in the end, needed a qualified BBC engineer to help me work, which was slightly embarrassing. I'm all right at the moment for the crisps, Kelly. I'm talking to a microphone. It'll sound horrible, but good to see you sampling the local food. Right, the Uruguay are in the tunnel, waiting for South Korea as well. We need a goal here, Clinton, don't we?
Yeah, and some Chris as well. Selfish, man. Selfish. We need a goal. We need some Chris chappers, and then my day's made.
I can only apologise that Kelly bought the crisps for people here in Doha and didn't think of you back in Salford.
Thanks.
Do you think Uruguay, just watching that first half, I know they've got the aging back line, but can they be a bit more aggressive, be off the ball? Because it seems comfortable for Korea at times.
I agree with you. Yeah, go and press. But all Suarez is doing is basically throwing his hands up, Rob, and saying, I want other people to, and not going to press. He should go and press. Pelestri should go and press. And then the whole team would move up the pitch. But I do believe they are worried about pacing behind, and Godin is real deep. But you are right. Go and be more aggressive and be in South Korea's faces, definitely. And go and have some crisps as well, mate. Tell them to share them with everyone.
well, me and Rob are the athletes in this studio.
I know you two are. I know you are.
As you're well aware.
Obviously.
Right, South Korea in a huddle. The ball is on the spot for Uruguay to kick off. Here's Maz.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we're nearly back underway here. The second half between Uruguay and South Korea. Uruguay will kick off the second half. The South Korea players were out on the pitch pretty early and all gathered into a huddle just on their half of the pitch by their captain, Son Heung-min. A really good opportunity from Hwang Ui-jo to put them ahead. As we are underway in this second half, you have really good chances at both ends in that first half, Clinton. That Hwang Ui-jo chance that we mentioned, blasted over the crossbar, and Godin, the Uruguay captain who's on the ball at the moment, hitting the left-hand post as well in that first half.
Yeah, there was good chances, and I think what Rob picked up there is spot on, to be fair, because it's been too easy for South Korea. Go and put the pressure on them and see what they're like when there's pressure on them. And go and be competitive and compete. But you are right. We've had two great opportunities. The game shouldn't be 0-0, and I think there'll be more opportunities in this second half.
And Godin just tried the long ball over the top there for Luis Suarez. Mystery putting it out of play on this near side as Uruguay shoot from left to right as we're watching this second half. We will go through and remind you of the lineups in a moment as Godin heads the ball, trying to regain possession for Uruguay in the South Korea half. It's back with Oliveira, but Uruguay pushed all the way back into their own half and opt to try the long ball over the top. That was for Valverde, now for Listri on the edge of it, but good work by Kim there to dispossess him, and that will be a foul and a free kick for South Korea. So we'll just run you through the lineups. Just say Uruguay shooting from left to right as we watch in this second half. So Roca is at the back. It's a back four of Caceres, Jimenez, the captain Godin, and Oliveira. A midfield three of Vecino, Bentancur, as Uruguay just hustle South Korea a little bit as they knock the ball between their back and defensive players. Now try the ball forward. And then the front three for Argentina are Palestri, Suarez and Nunez as Godin shepherds the ball forward, but only so far as South Korea, who have possession just on this left-hand touchline. It's with Son Heung-min. Just as he tries to get the cross in on the left, he's getting out-muscled there by Caceres, and the ball will go out for a Uruguayan throw. Good work there from an experienced Uruguay defender.
Yeah, Caceres does ever so well there. Son's looking for a pass. There's no space. He's trying to roll his foot over it, but Caceres just nudges him out. Son's looking for a foul. So, yeah, good defending there.
And this throw is going to be taken by Caceres, a couple of yards inside the Uruguay half, in front of the Uruguay subs who are warming up. Amongst them, just got a glimpse there of Edison Cavani as South Korea here now going with that. Was what they thought was a foul. Referee's not interested. Allow play to continue. The South Korean player has stayed on the ground, is back up on his feet now, and Bentancur just calming things down for Uruguay.
I did think it was a foul. I did think there was probably not the second one, but the first one was a foul, and I think the ref tried to play advantage, but I think South Korea would want the free kick there because it would have been in a dangerous position.
So a reminder, as we say, that Uruguay are playing from left to right as we watch in this second half with the familiar light blue tops with the white trim, the black shorts, the black socks. South Korea in their all white, sort of all red rather, away kit with black numbers on the back as well, and run you through their lineups. Got a goalkeeper is Kim Song-yu, and then four Kims in the back line as well. Kim Moon-hwan, Kim Mi-jae of Napoli, Kim Young-gwon and Kim Ji-sun. Jung, the holding midfield, as the long ball over the top there for Uruguay is just kept in play by Nunez. He's calling for a corner, and it's not been given.
I don't know if the linesman's put the flag up for offside yet.
Yeah.
I think Suarez has gone
Suarez
early.
has gone early, isn't he?
You're right.
So that will be a South Korean ball. South Korea, really, really important role to play, certainly in the first half in that holding midfield role. Just ahead of him, Lee, Jae-sung and Hwang, and then the front three of Na, Hwang Ui-jo, who had that fantastic chance to give South Korea the lead. And then Tottenham's Son Heung-min, the captain, on the left as well. Free kick for South Korea that their goalkeeper takes long. It's headed back by Bentancur. South Korea, though, very organised again and regain possession in Uruguay's half. They are happy again to try and build from the back. So it looks like Paulo Bento is going to stick with the same tactics really in the early stages of the second half in terms of how a South Korea team is set up, Clinton.
Yeah, he is, but you just want Uruguay to go and step on, go and engage it, because it's comfortable South Korea. The more you give them possession, the more they'll grow into it.
And now it's with Son edge of the area. Opts to run with it rather than try and take the shot, and he gives an opportunity there for Jimenez to regain possession. And Clinton, you had your head in your hands at the moment. Do you think you should have taken that first
You know, I thought maybe he could have the shot, but you know what? I got to credit Jimenez. He's brilliant defending, because I know what someone's trying to do, take that extra touch. And if he had gone through past him there, would have had a shot at goal. But good defending from Jimenez, but really good play again from South Korea.
And now it's with Uruguay. Bentancur sends it forward to Valverde. Good work, though, from South Korea with the sliding tackle to regain possession, and always so full of energy and pressing South Korea. Able to regain possession, and it's back with their defensive line. And Suarez, again, with that body language off the ball at the moment, needs to really kind of work himself into this game a little bit more. He's got so much experience, Luis Suarez. We talk about it. His infamous, really, we can say, checkered history in World Cups in a Uruguay shirt. But this is a fourth World Cup for the former Liverpool man, and he perhaps needs to work himself into this game a little bit more as South Korea attempt to get the cross in from the right, and that will be a corner for South Korea, their first of this second half. Clinton.
Yeah, I think he can get involved, but the problem with Suarez is now he's obviously at an age and getting older, don't really want to run him behind as much as he used to do. I think he needs to play with someone. I think he'd rather have someone up there with him, but he's isolated at the moment, and that's why he's getting frustrated.
Yeah, the link-up play with Nunes isn't quite working at the moment. This is going to be a free corner, rather, for South Korea, which they're going to take from the right as they attack from right to left in the second half. Their captain, Son Heung-min, is the man over the ball. He's going to take it. Referee blows his whistle. Uruguay defence just getting themselves settled in the area. Son with his left arm in the air. Black mask on. Corner comes in. Header goes up. Cleared by the keeper. Right-armed punch there, really. Didn't look entirely comfortable with that one as he got it off his line, and South Korea still with possession and now lose out. Good work by Bentancur to really calm things down. Lovely work by Bentancur. Twist a 360-degree turn there to get it past a South Korea player, and now the referee has paused.
Yeah, you know what?
Again for infringement.
No, and they're also going to check Maz, because he thinks he's fouled. Look, Kim Ji-sun by Bentancur. He thinks there's an arm, so he wants the referee to go and look at VAR. But for me, I don't think there's a lot in that, to be fair. I'd be surprised if VAR give a penalty for that.
It looks like, you know, he's in a physical battle for the ball. The goalkeeper's in a physical battle for the ball, as is Bentancur. All of them are involved, and it seems that, you know, nobody really seems to come off the worst for it. Everybody's just doing their best to try and get the ball, basically.
And I'm right, because VAR checked it and they said no penalty. If I got that wrong, I would have been happy with that. But it wasn't enough. There was hardly any contact there. I think Kim Jun-sun was looking for it. Bentancur just leaned on him. Right decision from VAR.
Word on Bentancur's 360-degree turn there as well. I mean,
highlighted again, wasn't it, Maz?
Everyone would have seen that move that Anthony did in a Manchester United shirt, but this one he's surrounded by different people there. No time at all. Made it look super easy. Excellent work from the Tottenham man, Bentancur there.
Yeah, great bit of skill. You're right.
And he's been really impressive for Uruguay in this game. As it is, though, it does remain goalless. 8.5 minutes played in the second half on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and Nunes has gone down there in a bit of a thump with Jung, who has raised his arm up as an apology for giving away that foul. A bit of a painful one, that looks like, for Darwin Nunes there.
I don't like players to get booked, but for me, man, watching the competition so far, players have been booked for less than that. And for me, it was a yellow card. He was well late. Nunes kind of just comes in on the side of him, so he should have got booked there.
Well, it's going to be a free kick for Uruguay. Valverde's going to take it in an interesting area, a couple of yards inside the South Korea half. The floating free kick goes in, still not cleared. Bentancur trying to get the shot away at the edge of the 18-yard box, blocked And now it goes forward again. Suarez trying to run onto this, keeps it in play deep in South Korean territory on the right-hand side, but then South Korea gather and the flag goes off because Suarez was in an offside position. This is a great stat for you, Clinton, from our producer Ellen. Only 3 Uruguayan outfield players failed to have a touch in the opposition box in the first half against South Korea. Darwin Núñez was one of them.
Not inside, yeah, because he missed that chance in the box, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well done, Ellen.
Well done, Ellen. I like that a lot.
On my left-hand side.
But as you say, there was that chance for him that he perhaps should have run onto, although maybe it was more Oliveira's fault than his, as the overhead kick comes in there from Suarez on the deep by the right-hand post, but South Korea able to clear it again, and Lestri tries to keep this ball in play. It will go out for a South Korea goal kick. 0-0, 55 minutes played. Yeah, as we say, when you think about that chance for Darwin Núñez was really try and run it onto ball from Oliveira, who kind of didn't get that right either, and things not always quite clicking for Uruguay. There's promise from both these sides, but they're not quite showing that final bit of quality that they need to make the difference to get the edge.
No, they're not. And Darwin Núñez, you can tell if he's not had that much touches, he's playing out too wide on the left-hand side. Go on, Maz.
Oh, well, Son Heung-min's gone down in a thump here, and his boots come off. He's clutching his right ankle. I'm not sure who it was who that coming together was with, but it was enough to get his boot come off. It was Caceres.
Oh, he treads on the back.
On the back of his boot. It comes off, and Son is lying on the ground in real distress here, clutching his right ankle. So this is real concern here for South Korea's playmaker. Paolo Bento, the South Korea head coach on the sidelines, looking concerned, having a chat with his technical staff, and Son Heung-min looking in real pain here, Clinton.
Yeah, he catches him just on the back of him. I don't know if it's obviously accidental. Only carers can tell you that. But really and truly, there is a trod down right on the back of the boot, on the back of the Achilles. And it even takes, where he treads it down, the boot comes off. So, yeah, for me, it's another yellow card because you've caught him right on the back of his Achilles. And
his sock as well is taken some of it's ripped as well. Like, that's how much the force of the studs coming in, and he has been booked Caceres for that challenge, and as we say, was a really forceful one. Not only the boot coming off of Son, but also a big hole in the back of his South Korea sock there. So safe to say that South Korea's captain has been in
and
the
a little
wars
there on the boots, his brand new boots, what he probably got given for the World Cup. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm sure he's got spare.
Oh yeah, I think he's got another 20 pairs in the dressing room, as these footballers do have nowadays.
Back on his feet, Son Heung-min, good to see. South Korea take the free kick, try and spray it out wide to the right, but picked up again by Uruguay trying to feed in Darwin Núñez on the halfway line. South Korea send it back. It will be a throw-in on the far side for Uruguay, level with their 18-yard box. 12.5 minutes played in this second half here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This final first group match, I should say, in Group H between Uruguay and South Korea. Still goalless, and just on the ball at the moment. He's just lost possession. Luis Suarez cutting a frustrated figure at the moment as he's trying to make something happen for Uruguay going forward.
I don't know if they've tweaked it a bit, Maz, but you can look now. Look, Núñez looks like he's playing more through the middle with Luis Suarez, so maybe they might have changed it a bit and just put them two together.
Yeah, interesting, because obviously, in the first half, Núñez was playing a little bit more in a position out wide, wasn't he? And that didn't seem to have the impact, clearly, that Diego Alonso would have wanted. So interesting, really, to think that, really, in terms of when you compare the experience of these two managers on this touchline today, Bento, as we say, been in charge of South Korea for over 4 years now. Diego Alonso only taking over from the really experienced Oscar Tabarez at the beginning of the year. Only 9 matches he's been in charge of this Uruguay side, and arguments really that he still doesn't really know his best formation, his best team, and you can kind of get a sense of that in this match.
Yeah, you can. I know Cavani's not 100% fit, but would he have played up front with Suarez and Núñez a bit wider? So you can tell he's trying to. Is he are they a 4-3-3 or are they a 4-4-2? And he's trying to pick out his best formation, but you can't do that in the World Cup. You have to stick on a formation and then have a plan A, a plan B, and even a plan C. But at the moment, they don't know their best formation, it looks like. But I think Núñez playing through the middle is more happier than playing out wide.
And that lack of kind of really knowing what their best attack is at the moment, pretty much summed up in a move that Uruguay just tried there. Long ball over the top, trying to get Oliveira to run onto it, but the South Korean keeper very easily able to gather, and now South Korea are on their way. One of their players is down in a heap, but they continue to play because they do have possession. Cross on the right into the box, headed clear just by Caceres. And now Valverde picks up possession and sends it forward out of danger. It's with Nunez in the South Korea half, and it will go up for a throw-in on this near side of some good clearance there by Kim.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, we are right there. It definitely is. And there, as I just spoke about him, he's coming on.
They were listening to you, Clinton. They were listening to you.
And it might be probably a like for like with Suarez because they are both aging. But one thing you know with Cavani, you give him half a chance, he'll find the back of the net. It's a lethal finisher.
And again, interesting to know what we'll get with Edison Cavani. A reminder, obviously, he's spent a lot of time at Valencia this season since he joined after his contract expired at Manchester United. He hasn't really played an awful lot. I think he's completed 90 minutes. So, like a lot of the other players in this Uruguay side, but injury concerns. We've mentioned Godin, their captain as well, the lack of game times he's had. But even with that, you know, Cavani is a player who you'd expect just to hit the ground running and find that touch, certainly. It looks like he's going to be the change that's going to happen now.
Yeah, not having the minutes doesn't help, but he's got experience. He'll come on for half an hour now, and you give him a chance. It don't matter what he does outside the box. It matters what he does in the box. And one thing with Cavani, he wants to score goals.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds, still goalless between South Korea, Uruguay and South Korea, as South Korea go on the attack again in Uruguay's half, but they do like to play quite nice football, and sometimes that means there's a misplaced pass, as we just heard there. You might have heard the groans from the South Korea fans in the stands, and Uruguay regain possession and send it back to their keeper. Reminder, if you are out and about, you can listen to us on BBC Sounds as well as on BBC Radio 5 Live. If you've got to go out and about, full game today, there's plenty for people to be getting on with, and you can rewind us as well so you don't miss a minute wherever you go if you download that BBC Sounds app. Cross from the right from South Korea into the Uruguay box is blocked. It will be a throw-in midway through Uruguay's half, and I guess we're just wondering now when Diego Alonso will opt to make this change and bring on really experienced striker Edison Cavani. South Korea, play goes down at the edge of the 18-yard box. Referee's not interested if that foul came in. He thinks it was just outside the box, but he allows play to continue. Now it's for Son. Tries the looping ball over the top to try and pick out South Korea in the box, but it's cleared again, and South Korea forced out wide, and Uruguay keeping their shape as well in defence at the moment, as Son again now with the ball in the box, just mishits it, and Valverde gathers, and now Godin sends it forward, and that is with Nunez now on the left. South Korea player falls over, is out-muscled by that. Darwin Nunez on the edge of the box, a couple of yards outside the byline, sends it cross, goalkeeper able to gather. Darwin Nunez, perhaps they should have done a lot better with that opportunity, Clinton.
Yeah, it's a good ball from Godin, and Kim Min-jae, he slips over, and Nunez is in there, and Suarez has made a great run. He's gone to go to he checked to the near post, pulled out to the far post. Nunez should really use his left foot and pick him out. He doesn't, takes an extra touch, and in the end, it's good goalkeeping, but that's a great opportunity for Uruguay there.
Yeah, Darwin Nunez really showing all the physical attributes of his game there to get past Kim, but really going for the wrong option there. Trying to go to the near post rather than opt for Suarez, who we can see in the replays here was unmarked on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and he's frustrated, Suarez. He was really frustrated, threw his hands up in the air. And I told you it would probably be a like for like because the age that they're at, Suarez coming off and Cavani on.
So that is the last piece of play, really, that Luis Suarez was involved in. He's looking a bit frustrated, the former Liverpool man, as he is substituted for Edison Cavani, another player coming on now here for Uruguay as one of the South Korea, their really, really important defender, Natalie Starter, is just down requiring some treatment. But Edison Cavani, another player coming on for this Uruguay side, playing in a 4th World Cup. I mean, what experience some of these players have got, Clinton.
They've got some great experience, and it does help. It does help if you have very good youngsters as well, which they do have. But yeah, it's good experience to have Cavani. And as I said, the one thing he's probably different to Suarez, he gets in there all the time. He don't care about doing his outside the box. He just wants to score goals. And if Uruguay can supply him, he is clinical.
Nearly 20 minutes gone in the second half, still goalless in this Group H opener between Uruguay and South Korea. And Kim Min-jae is up on his feet, has required some treatment though, so he's just going to go off into the sidelines, but happy to see that he is back on his feet. Paolo Bento is just taking an opportunity for this break in play to have a quick chat with some of his South Korea players, because certainly in the last couple of minutes, it feels like Uruguay have kind of forced themselves on this game a little bit more.
Yeah, South Korea probably still dominating, but you are right. They are having opportunities, and they can't lose Kim Min-jae because he's been outstanding today and also at club level for Napoli. Brilliant replacement for Koulibaly, and he's done well, and they're going to need him because now I think Uruguay will be pushing to get this opening goal.
Yeah, and he is going to hopefully be able to continue. 65 minutes gone in this game, still goalless in this Group H opener, as Cavani now on the field is going to start hassling and pressing the South Korea defence, but they try the long ball over the top there for their attack, South Korea, and it's picked up by Bentancur in the Uruguay half, but good pressing again from South Korea, regains possession, and John in that centre circle role that he's really made his own in this game. Fantastic distributor of the ball, their holding midfielder, Jung, regains possession for South Korea, and they will build again from the back.
See, Mazza, here, it's all too easy. Go and press, go and make it difficult for South Korea. They're enabling them to pick out their passes. Too comfortable at the moment.
They're so organised, aren't they, South Korea, when they are on the ball, when they're off the ball, and just feels like both sides really allowing, as Palestri goes down there, looks all right, he's got back on his feet, that both sides are very happy for people to play the ball in their own halves when they're not in possession, and there's not an awful lot of pressing or harrying going on, and perhaps it's going to make the difference later on when energy levels start to maybe sap a little bit.
Yeah, that's where you got to look to your bench to make changes, but you're right, you're spot on. The energy levels will get tired. They will get tired, South Korea. They put a lot of effort in. Both teams have put a lot of effort in, and that's where it could be won and lost from making the right substitutions.
So the Uruguay thrown, as it will be, a couple of yards inside their half. Caceres takes it, aiming for Cavani towards the halfway line.
Good touch from the manager there. Just got headed the ball right at him. Oh, right in the side of the face. Took it well though. I would have gone down, Maz.
He's running it off. He's pretending he's fine.
No, he messed his hair up. That's what he's more angry about. His hair's out of place now, so he has to redo it again.
This didn't hit his expensive watch. That would have made him more upset.
Yeah.
Godin there trying to hassle and press the South Korea attackers, and Bentancur, as he's so often done, really doing well and sweeping up possession, although there's a loose pass there from Uruguay, and Bentancur again has to sort things out really in that midfield for Uruguay, and then a misplaced pass from him up to Palestri on the right. It's just not quite clicking for Uruguay at the moment.
No, you look on paper and you say all the names that they've got should be dominating possession, but it doesn't work like that. You got to credit South Korea, but they have been poor in possession there. Bentancur, one of their best players, passes the ball out of play, so they need to get their act together because they could end up losing this.
22 and a half minutes played in the second half, so midway through the second half, still no goals yet in this opening match in Group H. Nobody yet able to make the breakthrough, although this is Oliveira and now Nunes on the left rather, just outside the 18-yard box. Cross comes in from the left, headed clear by South Korea. Now Valverde tries the long ball forward, which is slightly wayward, and goes all the way out to Palestri, a couple of yards inside this near side touchline, and in the end he is dispossessed. It goes up for a throw, and Son Heung-min, who dispossessed, and convinced that it came off the Uruguayan last, but it will be a Uruguay throw-in, which is taken by Caceres. Now Bentancur. Valverde tries the ball into Edison, just to the edge of the 18-yard box, gets the shot away, it's blocked. Only with Palestri though, back now with Valverde. Blocked further away from Uruguay, but it's regained by them, and they maintain possession in the South Korea half. Now,
that's what I said, man. It's good play. That's what Cavani does. He comes alive, but it's really good defending. He tries to get half a yard.
And Valverde now with the ball, sending it back to Bentancur. We just had one of our monitors go down here in our studio in Salford, the fun and games of commentating off tube with Clinton Morrison here. There's always something with you, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I bring trouble everywhere I go. Good trouble, though. Good trouble.
We're enjoying it. We're enjoying
exactly.
it. But 20 minutes plus stoppage time to go in the second half. We're still waiting for a breakthrough as Palestri shows too much of the ball there to Son Heung-min, but does well to win it back. Son wants the free kick. It's not given. Bentancur and now Valverde as Uruguay build now again from the left. It's with Nunes now, edge of the 18-yard box. Kim dispossesses him. It will be a throw-in on the far side for Uruguay, but not able to get that incisive ball into the box at the moment. Now with Godin, sends it forward again. These crossfield balls are becoming part of Uruguay in the second half. The cross comes into the box, overruns everybody. Now it's with Palestri on the right-hand side of the area, gets the shot in. Cleared there by South Korea. Now it's with Son, back in his half, doing his defensive bit.
What a pass,
lovely pass over the top, trying to pick out Hwang Yi-jo there. Plenty of Uruguayan shirts back to clear that, but the vision showed there by Son Heung-min at the edge of his own 18-yard box to get that pass all the way forward as he did, effectively to the box at the other end.
Yeah, it's a great pass, about 60-70-yard diagonal, and Hwang Yi-jo is not quick enough. And you're thinking in a race with Godin, he would be quick enough, but Godin used all of his experience, leaned on him, and the goalkeeper came in clearance. But fantastic pass there from Son.
Valverde, though, with the ball at his feet at the moment, so confident the Real Madrid man can really see the difference that he makes to this Uruguay team, so confident on the ball. And sends it out to the left as Uruguay tried to build here, and the noise really increasing now. That is from the Uruguay fans who are behind the goal that they are defending in this second half. So they're shooting towards the South Korea fans who are quite quiet at the moment, it has to be said. Uruguay doing their bit to silence the South Korea fans, and all the noise is coming from their end at the moment as Palestri now has the ball on the right, sends the cross into the box. That was for Cavani, but it's hacked clear by South Korea. And Uruguay now really camped out in South Korea's box as the cross came in again. That is Bentancur, and it goes all the way through and to the feet of the South Korean goalkeeper, Kim Seong-hun, who just makes a calm down gesture to everybody, puts his hands out, palms down, and just calm down to all of his South Korean teammates, because he can feel that this game is getting away from them in the last few minutes.
It is Uruguay having a spell, and that's what it's been like. It was like that in the first half. South Korea started well, then Uruguay had a spell, then South Korea finished the half well, and it's like that again in the second half. But when you have these opportunities, you have to be clinical, because you'll always have spells in the game, man.
72 minutes played. Apologies, Clinton. 72 minutes played. Still 0-0. Caceres and now Bentancur on the ball. I mean, the one criticism that people make about Paolo Bento a lot, Clinton, is that there is no plan B without Son Heung-min, and that he hasn't been able to find one. And I think in the last few minutes, we're starting to see maybe the arguments around that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great point you make, Maz. And you're looking at it now, and we've had 72 minutes. He hasn't even made a change. You're thinking, go to your bench. Can you not bring on Hwang of Wolverhampton, who we know can get a goal? Maybe he's not been in good form, but, just change the front. Bring a bit of pace to the front.
As Uruguay try the attack again, ball forward. That was for Darwin Nunes on the edge of the 18-yard box. He puts the thumb in the air because he
must have heard us.
There you go. They hear you again, Clinton.
But it's not who we wanted, but it's still somewhat. It's still two players.
We've got a couple of subs coming on here for South Korea, and a couple of changes now going to be made. So we're going to be bringing on Cho Gu-sung,
Wang Yu-chu's going off
one of the forwards, as Hwang Yi-jo, who missed that fantastic chance in the first half in the box, goes off. And the other player coming on is going to be Son Jin-ho. Just waiting to see who the other player going off will be. That's Na Sang-ho. So he's taking off two kind of attacking players and bringing on two other attacking players here, really trying to freshen things up.
Yeah, and that's what I think. That's what you want to do. As I said, he needed a change up there. I was thinking of Hwang of Wolverhampton, but obviously he sees them in training. I think Hwang is on. Is that Hwang? No, they've made 3 substitutions, to be fair.
They have
Cho, Son, and Lee have come on.
Yeah, so it's Hwang Ijou that's gone off, and Naho's gone off, and the three changes that come on are Song Jong-ho, Cho Gu-sung, and Lee Kang-in, who's a very interesting player and one that a lot of South Korea fans are really hopeful for the future. Paolo Bento, though, has been reluctant to use him, and he's on the ball at the moment. They're very excited about this young South Korean talent, South Korea fans, and he's tried to feed the ball there into the box. It's now with Son at the edge of the 18-yard box, a couple of yards outside the ball, and tries to cross into the 6-yard area from the left. It's blocked, and it will go out of play now. Valverde with some good defensive work there, and South Korea with a good bit of promising play there. But Son did look like there on the replay that he was offside in the build-up. So if that cross had found its target in the middle, that goal probably wouldn't have counted.
Yeah, and you were saying, was it Lee? He did look lively there. His left foot. He looked like that's what you want to see in the game. He's come on, he looked sharp, he wants to get involved and create problems. There's a good opportunity there, but you're right, man. Some would have been offside.
Lee Kang-in, he's only 21. He plays his club football for Mallorca. He was discovered as Darwin Núñez there tries to get on the end of a long ball over the top. Direct effort that from Uruguay. He was discovered, it depends where you read it. Some places say 6 years old, some places say 8 years old. But he was on talent show, Clinton, when he was young and showing off his football tricks. And since then, he's been targeted by South Korean football fans as one to watch. So he's certainly a young talent that they are excited about. But there's been a reluctance from Paolo Bento to pick him. But he's decided, I think, to gamble in this match now. And Lee Kang-in is one of the 3 substitutions that's come on in the second half, 4 minutes.
So, yeah, I think he has to. Maz, because I feel like the game's just petering out, and you need to, bring on players to try and win. This is your first game. I always think it's important to win your first game, but don't lose it as well.
Yeah, certainly. We've seen shocks already, haven't we, from certainly a lot of the big teams that were expecting to start their opening games of this World Cup really, really strongly, and that hasn't been the case. So Uruguay, for all their hopes and aspirations to win this game in a group that also contains Portugal and Ghana, will also be anxious not to lose it. And Portugal against Ghana is the next game coming up for you with us on 5 Live. And South Korea go on the attack again. Shot is wide of the right-hand post there from Cho Gun-sung. And he looks disappointed there, like he should have got that on target, Clinton.
Cho Gun-sung, his touch is brilliant. It's magnificent touch. He controls it, and it's a snapshot of his left foot. It's difficult. It's going to be some strike to beat the goalkeeper from there, but the subs have already made an impact on this game.
Indeed, and let's just run you through the other games you have to come here then on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds today. Already, as we say, we've got Switzerland beating Cameroon 1-0 to come after us here at 4 o'clock UK time on BBC Radio 5 Live. Portugal against Ghana. Ian Dennis and Matt Upson with you for that one. That's the other opening game in this group. And then later to come, the last team in action, Brazil against Serbia at 7 UK time. Ali Breesball and Chris Sutton, the roommates, the flatmates, your team for that one.
Can you imagine them two living together, bickering? It's your turn to make the team. No, it's your turn.
Here are the 2 more changes that Uruguay are going to make now. They're bringing on Matias Vina and Nicolas de la Cruz and Oliveira Vecino, the 2 players to come off. So 3 changes now for Uruguay in this second half, 3 for South Korea, with 12 minutes or so plus stoppage time to go in this game. Still yet to have a breakthrough, still goalless. We've had a couple of goalless games already in this World Cup. Is this going to be another one, as Godin now is on the ball for Uruguay? Caceres sends it all the way back to his keeper. Interesting to see now these couple of changes. De La Cruz has been another good player for Uruguay, one of these younger players that's really made the difference, certainly in recent games, for Diego Alonso. So he is opting to mix things up now in this second half.
Yeah, I think he knows how important it is. As I said, you always want to get off to a good start. I know not to lose it, but you were the favourites to coming into this game. And I know favourites not always meant to supposed to win, but you'll be disappointed because they haven't really created any clear-cut chances in the game, apart from Godin's header, which was a half a chance, but he done ever so well to direct it onto the post, but was unlucky not to score.
Heading into the final 10 minutes here on BBC Radio 5 Live. South Korea regain possession. Now it's with Jun again in the centre of the park. Son Heung-min calling for it on the left, trying to make the run. But Uruguay pressing and harrying a little bit more now. Cavani there, hassling Jung on the ball. Try the loop ball over the top there. Godin's following it, tracking it, and wins the free kick. Good work there from the Uruguay captain.
It's experience, to be fair, because he's not at all ever is he playing the ball. He's just looking at the man and getting his body into him, and then as soon as he feels contact, he goes down. Good defending and good experience defending from Godin.
Are you surprised that he looks like he's probably going to be playing the 90 minutes? I mean, when we consider how little football he's had coming up to this World Cup, but he seems not to have shown that at all.
No, he hasn't. So that must go credit to him and the medical staff, and in particular himself, for getting himself into great shape. And I think it's always difficult when you change centre halves during games as well, Maz. And his experience alone, even if he's running on empty, he's a good talker, he's an organiser. And I think that will play a big part in these last 12 or 15 minutes that we have, plus stoppages.
Yeah, we'll see how much stoppage time we get. We've had the least amount of time so far of any of the games I think I can think of.
1 minute.
This World Cup. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But I think we'll have a fair few more since we've had 6 subs in this second half. One of them, Cavani, on the ball now, feeding it through onto the left. That is Núñez. Shot comes in wide of the right-hand post. That was a really good opportunity there for Uruguay and Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, it was brilliant play from Cavani. He played it to Núñez. Núñez just shifts it onto his right foot. He just can't get enough bend on it. And even there, Cavani was nearly on the end of it, even though it was a shot. I nearly flicked it in. But, yeah, good play from Cavani and Núñez. Really unlucky.
Yeah, as the shot came in from Núñez wide of the right-hand post, you could see the towering figure of Cavani trying to get on the end of it. Such a poacher, such a brilliant goal scorer down the years, the former PSG and Manchester United man, and he's ripped his headband off in frustration because he knows how close he could have been there to helping Uruguay get the opener. And we'll just have another pause and play here. Another South Korea player has gone down injured, and I guess as well tiredness is certainly South Korea players going to play a part. I mean, only 6 of this 26-man squad for South Korea can play their club football in the 5 major European leagues. It's a big ask to ask a lot of these players to play at this intensity, at this tempo for 90 minutes.
No, yeah, you're spot on. So that's why it's good that he's made a triple substitution, because you are going to get tired legs, especially the likes of Jung. He's been in midfield and he's worked ever so hard. That's been the engine room. He's been up and down. So they put in a great shift. And this is where games won and lost, man, in the last 10 minutes or so, because it's tired legs and also tired minds. That's where you can switch off.
Yeah, 8 minutes to go. Still nothing to separate Uruguay and South Korea in this opening match of Group H. Another good stat from producer Ellen Clinton. Each of South Korea's 3 World Cup goals have been in the 90th minute. You called it late drama. We can have it.
She's on fire, isn't she, Ellen? She's on fire.
She is. Goal kick for South Korea is taken high and long, and Cavani trying to pick that up there and getting involved in a bit of physical battle. I think he got studs up tackle there from a South Korean player trying to win that one just on his thigh. So it will be a free kick for Uruguay. Bentancur sends it back to Godin. Valverde again feeds it through to Bentancur. And we've had these 3 do this at big times already this game. They do like to pass it amongst themselves, but again, it's a reflection of how organised South Korea have been off the ball. That's been very, very tough for Uruguay to find the breakthrough. Ball over top again. That was for Darwin Núñez, and now it's picked up by Valverde, and Pelistri sends it out to the right. That's where Núñez is this time. Tries to get the cross in, gets it past one South Korea defender, and then tries to feed in Bentancur, and the ball is overhit and runs out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was good play from Núñez. He's done ever so well on the right-hand side. He chops inside the defender, tries to reverse ball with his left foot, and Bentancur would be in there, and he could just flash it across the box, but he overhits it, Núñez. He's frustrated with himself, but as I said, they're starting, but slowly but surely becoming the better team now, Uruguay.
7.5 minutes to go here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Remember, we've got coverage of every aspect of the 2022 World Cup, all the issues surrounding the tournament as well, on and off the field, across the BBC. Our coverage here on 5 Live every day begins with 5 Live Breakfast from 6 o'clock in the morning with Rick Edwards for you live out in Qatar. Ball goes out for throw-in on this near-hand side. 6 minutes plus stoppage time, less than that now to play. Sirius is going to take this throw-in just on this near side touchline, midway through the Uruguay half. Uruguay fans behind the goal they're defending in the second half. Pretty subdued a little bit now as well, as maybe both sets of fans starting to get anxious that there might be a lapse of concentration for their team in these final minutes.
Yeah, and that's where you have to switch on right to the end, not just to the 90th minute, because as we said earlier, you get a lot of stoppage time, so you have to keep switched on because you don't want a mistake to lose you the game.
Sun Heung-min with the ball in the centre of the Uruguay half. Now it's sent out and back. South Korea forced wide and backwards by Uruguay. And try to feed it in now again from the right. 5 minutes of stoppage time to play. Still nothing to separate these two sides. Uruguay 0, South Korea 0 in Group H. Opening group match for both these teams as a misplaced pass from South Korea is picked up by Benton Kur. Now it's with Cavani as he moves forward 80 yards out or so, but sends it all the way back to Caceres, and lack of options there demonstrated there by Cavani having to send it all the way back when he's in a promising position there for Uruguay.
Yeah, they don't have enough runners getting him beyond him when he picked it up. I got to credit South Korea, watching them get back into their shape as quick as possible. Brilliant. That's testament to their fitness as well, that they can manage to get back into their shape in the 85th minute.
Yeah, the energy levels have been there all match for South Korea, and the loose ball there from Calistri is picked up gratefully by South Korea, who tried to send now quite on his way, and Caceres with some good tracking back is able to send it back to his goalkeeper and go down. And now Valverde in the centre of the Uruguay half now switches it to the left. You can see how hard the players are working, certainly on the Uruguay shirts. Dark patches now of sweat that have been building through this half. It's obviously cooler now at this time of day in Qatar, but still really hot conditions for these players, and just demonstrating how hard they're all working. Valverde has been excellent for Uruguay in this match on the ball now. Now, one of the substitutes, Nicolas de la Cruz. Now, Caceres sends it out now to the right. That's Bentancur. Opts to send it back to De La Cruz in a more central position now for Uruguay in the South Korea half. Back with Bentancur on the right. Cross comes into the box. Cavani's reaching for it. Header. And then the subsequent ball is put out wide of the near-hand post. Another good chance for Uruguay.
Yeah, it's good build-up play. It's the first time they sustained pressure in the whole game, to be fair. Good play. Bentancur chops onto his left. Cavani's ahead of the ball, so he's always coming back because he can't generate the pace, goes out for a goal kick, but good play from Uruguay.
Yeah, that seemed like one of the most fluid passages of play we've really had from Uruguay, perhaps all match really, with 2.5 minutes of the game to play as Uruguay now make a fourth substitution. Palestri has come off. I'm just waiting to see who has come on here for Uruguay. Guillermo Barella in the last few minutes of this match. So Uruguay making 4 substitutions now. See if they can make a difference in the final minutes, as they are given a free kick as well. Jimenez gone down clutching his face, and that will be a yellow card for Cho.
Yeah, it's a hard one. As a centre forward, you always want to put your arms up, but he's looking for Jimenez. He is looking for him, and he catches him in the throat. So I think the referee, it's the right decision. Can't raise your hands in the air like that.
So booking for Cho Gi-sung. Only been on the pitch a few minutes as one of South Korea's substitutes in the second half. Bentancur allowed plenty of time in the ball, trying to set Uruguay in their way, but Uruguay dispossessed, and now it's Cho on the ball in the Uruguay half. He goes down under a challenge. The referee isn't interested in giving away the free kick. Barella now, one of the subs, is on the ball for South Korea, opts to switch play to the left, and the boos you can hear there are from the South Korea fans behind the goal they're defending in the second half and on the far side. They certainly think that Cho was brought down there, but the referees allow play to continue, and Valverde's now on the ball and tries the shot on, and it's a good save from the South Korea keeper there. That was a shot from somebody who is in real confidence at the moment in his club day. A good shot and a good save there from that stroke from Valverde.
Yeah, I thought it was a save, Maz, but I think seeing the replay, I think it hits the post. I don't think the goalkeeper's getting it. I think, it just hits the outside of the post, and it goes to safety. But great shot from Valverde. But I think he's got a touch of cramp. I saw him a couple of minutes ago stretching, and as soon as he had that shot, he was down stretching his hamstring. So the heat out there, it does play a big part because Valverde's covered probably every inch of grass this stuff.
Yeah, in the end, looking at the replays, Clint is absolutely right. It does come off sort of almost the left-hand corner of the uprights. The keeper was going that direction and, well, almost made the move across, despite what was initially a save. As Sodro Min now goes for a strike, and it's just wide in the right-hand post, again from a similar distance out as Valverde's strike, and that one from Son, not quite as close, but pretty close. Just the wrong-hand side of the right-hand post, Clinton.
Yeah, Rocket, the goalkeeper, terrible kick out. The ball comes to Son, shifts it to his left foot, and he drills it, and it just goes wide of the post. You've seen him many times score for Tottenham from that range, but I think Rocket would have had it covered.
Yeah, it always looked like it was bending wide, swazzing wide, didn't it, really? The keeper would have got there probably, but chances at either end now in the last couple of minutes of this match is where
I would guess that's how many added on time.
Go on, Clinton, tell me. Seven. I knew the one was a one-off. We thought with that many subs that we would get 7, wouldn't we? We have had 7 subs in the second half. 4 for Uruguay, 3 for South Korea. So that's probably reflected in the 7 minutes. We had a couple of players down for treatment as well as De La Cruz tries to feed in Cavani there. Now Nunes, De La Cruz and Cavani making the run to the edge of the area. Send it out wide. Now it's with De La Cruz and South Korea to clear it again for the time being. Paulo Bento is living every moment, every kick of this game, isn't he, with the South Korea team in these what now 6 minutes of stoppage time we've got to play at the end of this match. As De La Cruz again on the ball, sends it back to Cavani in the D. South Korea clear though. Now they try and set up on the counter. Bentancur and plenty of players running back to try and regain possession. Valverde with a brilliant challenge as South Korea look to be on the counter on the far side. He gets the ball out of play and he celebrates that like a goal, Clinton.
He does, Valverde. To be fair, he was travelling at some speed, and Valverde got back in and made a brilliant tackle. He's been like that all afternoon, covering the ground, but he celebrates like a goal. That's how passionate and pumped up they are for this game and for the World Cup.
Valverde has been absolutely brilliant for Uruguay this afternoon, as Clinton rightly says, and his chance a few minutes ago hitting the outside of the post, probably the closest that either side have got to a winner in the latter stage of this match. And the noise and cheers and sounds and songs you can hear now from those Uruguay fans, they sense their team to now, could be the side that might find the winner now, as we're into the 3rd minute of stoppage time of 7 at the end of this Group H match. Uruguay on top, still goalless though between them and South Korea, but Valverde's got the South American fans pumped up for these final few minutes. He's been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he?
No, he has. He leads by example. We talked about it before the game, having a big player. You've seen it today. Even if they get a draw, I still think he's been good in that midfield.
There's South Korea though now on the counter. Trying to get the ball into the box at a tight angle. It's cleared again though as Son Heung-min was trying to make the run to get on the end of it. Only so far though as South Korea players again. They're all there in Uruguay's half. Even Cavani's back defending now for Uruguay in these injury timers. That was a wasted opportunity there.
He just has to give it to Kim Jun-si. He's on the outside and it's a port. He's trying to score from about 25 yards. He's got about 6 bodies in front of him, so he just needs to keep moving the ball and then manipulate the space. But it's been a good game. Even though it's 0-0, it's been a good game. It's been end-to-end, especially in his second half.
4th minute stoppage time. Diego Godin, and we talked about the lack of football he's played. He is dead on his feet. He is out there. He is away. He is puffing, so exhausted. He's given absolutely everything for this Uruguay team today. On the ball at the moment. Again, he's been brilliant. That defensive mainstay at the back for Uruguay. They've needed him, but he's just demonstrating how everybody is working as we tick the final seconds of this match down. We're into the 95th minute now, and play still continues, and a South Korea player has gone down clutching his head at the edge of the area, so we'll just have a bit of a pause here.
You know where it probably lacked a bit? It's probably in that final third. The quality, you have a final finish, final cross into the box. That's where a decision making That's where the game's lack. But the build-up play, some of the build-up play has been really good, in particular from South Korea. But it's just that final cross or final pass decision-making that where the game's lack quality.
Do you think that's reflected on the fact that, you know, both managers really, we talked about Paulo Bento not really having a plan B when Son isn't creating everything, and Diego Alonso still perhaps doesn't know his best formation, his best 11. He hasn't had that time to work with the players yet.
Yeah, I don't think Suarez can play up front by himself. I think he needs a partner now at this age. So it was a struggle for him. But Cavani's not much more lively. But I agree with you on that.
Barella, De La Cruz on his way. There's still chance for a late winner here for Uruguay. A attempted cross in from the left will go out for a corner. And Uruguay will have a corner now in the 96th minute of this match. This could be a big moment, a big set piece for them.
They're a threat man as well from set pieces. You can see it's written in the stars for him, isn't it?
They've got the big men up. They've got Cavani on the pitch now. That man we've just been talking about, Godin, who remember hit the woodwork in the first half as well. He is now up as well in the final few minutes of this match. De La Cruz is going to take this corner from the left. They've got Valverde loitering just outside the D as well. That's one to keep an eye on. Barella as well. De La Cruz with the corner from the right, left rather, and that is a very wasteful corner straight into the grateful hands of Kim Si-gu, the South Korean keeper.
Yeah, it's poor from De La Cruz, but Kim Si-gu did ever so well to come and claim. That is when you need your goalkeeper. When it's that late on in the game, your goalie to come and help you out when you're tired, and he did that. But expect better quality from De La Cruz there.
And of course, tomorrow is a huge game for you on 5 Live as we're into the last 60 seconds.
What is tomorrow,
of this game?
Who's playing tomorrow? Is there a big game? Oh, Wales you're talking about.
Yes, well, England and Wales, both in action, Clinton.
I know.
Build up from 9 a.m. with Mark Chapman. Of course, 5 Live Breakfast is on air from you from 6. And some news ahead of Wales's game tomorrow. Rob Page saying that Joe Allen is fit and available for the Iran match tomorrow for Wales. That is a big boost from them, isn't it? Ahead of their second game in their group.
And that's great news, to be fair. I don't know how fit he'll be to start the game, but if you could bring him on, it is good news for them because, they do miss him in that midfield.
If he can challenge anything like Godin's challenge for Uruguay this afternoon, Wales will be happy as Nunes now is on the attack, just a couple of yards. And the referee has blown for a foul there, and Uruguay thought they were in the final seconds of this match. Nunes looked like he was pretty much one-on-one, but the foul there from Barella is adjudged taking place. And
doesn't touch him. He does not touch him at all.
Diego Alonso is not happy at all about that decision.
He don't touch him. It's good, clever play from Kim Jin-soo. He just goes down and pretends there's contact, but he doesn't touch him. You can see, and he's been booked for it now, Barella. I think for protesting to the referee, he's not happy.
Yeah, Cavani.
No, it's not. You know, he's been booked. Go on, Maz. I'll leave it to you.
Paulo Bento, the South Korean head coach, who's been, as we say, living every moment of the last few minutes of this match with his South Korean players, is the latest person in the referee's book. And he sat down. We were in a replay of the incident that Clinton was talking about. And that is why we didn't know what exactly he was booked for. But that's the last action of this game. And 0-0 it has finished, Clinton Morrison, after 7 minutes of stoppage time. Uruguay 0, South Korea 0. And as we say, chances for both sides, excellent chances for both sides, particularly in the second half. Really, the only one was for Valverde. But do you think points shared is a fair assessment in the end?
Yeah, I think it was a fair assessment. I think the game lacked quality in the final third. Loads of endeavour, but not lacked that really creative spark in the final third. Son had an all right game, Son, but it's difficult. He's got 2 or 3 men around him, so that must mean there's other spaces for other people. But you can see when the final whistle went, every player was like out on their feet. They put a lot of work into it. But I think both teams will be happy with the draw. I think Uruguay would have been coming in trying to get the 3 points, but I thought South Korea played really well.
Yeah, Uruguay hitting the post twice, once in the first half with Godin, and that Valverde strike from out wide in the second half. Hwang Lee-jo, though, will be thinking a lot about the chance that he missed in the first half for South Korea as well. Neither side on the score sheet. The opening match in Group H has finished as a draw. Uruguay 0, South Korea 0, Kelly.
Thank you very much for that, Maz. As I wedge my way into Mark Chapman's airtime. That was very... We're doing it slightly differently today. Normally, I would pick up at the end of this match and speak to Maz and to Clinton about everything that's gone on. But because it was such an entertaining game, Chappers, you've decided that you'd like to do that.
Well, because you thought it was unfair that you do the full coverage of 2 games and I only do 1 3/4. I was asked to
Especially at the moment before you become TV's Mark Chapman and appear every night annoying people on the highlights.
You'll find there's the odd big live game in there as well, such as Tunisia against Australia on Saturday morning. So come on, thank you. Dion is with us as well, and will be with us for the next, how long are you in the studio for? The next few hours? 4 hours?
I'm going to stay as long as I possibly can.
Of course.
Stay as long as I possibly can.
I was thinking yesterday, myself and Kelly went possibly the most boring walk either of us has ever had, and that just wasn't the company, that was the scenery as well, which, I mean, we went to Corniche, which is part of Doha, expecting a coffee and lots going on.
The sea was lovely.
The sea was lovely, but there was nobody but me, Kelly, and some marshals. That was it. There were no other football fans, tourists, nothing.
It was set up for the fan park, so there were lots of stalls that lined the Corniche, which is a sort of crescent-shaped bay in Doha, it's very beautiful. Like the view is beautiful from there, but they cut off all the traffic and lined it with all these stalls. None of them were open at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and we walked for about 45 minutes, at which point Chapper said, I'm going to have to get the metro back. I've got to be able to work. I ended up meeting a proper friend of mine, having a lovely coffee. I had a nice day.
A proper friend?
But honestly, it was a 45-minute walk. After 20 minutes, we couldn't think of anything else to say.
You're not even friends.
I know, honestly.
Honestly, 25 minutes of the conversation was, can you see anywhere that we might be able to coffee?
Just colleagues, and people pretend that we're friends, and it's very uncomfortable for the 2 of us, but we just go along with it. But then having thought that we'd probably had the worst experience of the Five Live team out on a journey together during this tournament so far, we then heard about your experience last night.
Yes, it was an interesting one actually, because we were on the way back from the game last night, and John Murray, one of the best in the business.
At commentating.
Not at. No, listen, I can't knock John because he drove us to the game. He drove us back-ish via plenty of sand and desert and camel racing.
You went dune bashing with John Murray.
Yes,
there's a podcast that needs to be made.
Yes, we did, and we made a few wrong turnings.
So I was told that he was adamant, despite you telling him and the producer telling him that he was going the wrong way. The sand got more and more plentiful, and the buildings got less and less, that he was going the wrong way, and he wasn't having any of it until he saw a sign for camel racing.
Yes, that was
and realised he may have gone the wrong way.
That was a telltale sign. We kind of got to the end. We got to the end of Doha. There was nothing else but a roundabout, and if you went over the roundabout, it was the desert. So he thought, I can't be going in the right way. Surely not myself. And John Southall were telling him where to go, and he was adamant.
Can I speak in John Murray's defence? Is this the Ahmed bin Ali Stadium?
Yes.
So the problem is, here's the most interesting bit of radio.
This will be good.
Bear with me. This is interesting. They've changed the system around the stadium. And Steve, who is our engineer today, was driving us the other day, and unfortunately, the road signs, and he'd been so well prepared. He'd gone there the day before. He'd worked out a route. He'd found the car park, and in the end, we had to wing it. We just went off the dual carriageway, performed what I think might be an illegal U-turn. Up 45 minutes later, inside the stadium, in the wrong car park, there were guys with glow-in-the-dark green sticks waving us. It was chaos, and we just had to abandon the car.
And now, dear listener, you'll realise why my walk round Corniche was so incredibly dull.
Imagine how much worse it had been if I'd had a coffee.
The producer just said to my ear, do you just want to do one more question on the match? Clinton, Maz, anything else left to say?
Clinton just said to me, do they still need me?
Don't rub it in already. We know you're having a good time. Cool. All right, we don't want to talk about... You know what? I want to talk about Chappers, though. Why are you not in the gym with Dion and that? I seen a thing come up on social media the other day. Dion working hard, and Chappers, you're not in there. Why are you not in the gym with them doing the quick feet and that? Dion,
out of sheer intimidation, Clinton. Really, I ain't gonna put my body onto any of the ex-footballers. Right, I can guarantee that.
On the game.
Maz, Clinton, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Right, I'll leave you with my good friend / colleague, and Dion. First, though, Ghana, Portugal, then Brazil, Serbia. First, the latest BBC News, 3:03.
Take the World Cup with you.
Portugal.